honest, I worked with some great people. I really did. I worked with some really, truly talented and also, diligent and honest people. That's what I miss about the business itself right now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Somerville Licensing Commission hearing for November 18th, 2019. I'm Chair and Commissioner Joe Lynch. Joining me tonight is Commissioner Chris Allen. To Commissioner Allen's right is Sergeant Warren Shaley from the Somerville Police Department. To his right is Lieutenant Bob McLaughlin from the Somerville Fire Department. To my left is Secretary and Clerk of the Somerville Licensing Commission, Lori Jean Batzek. Up over my right shoulder is the City Clerk, John Long. Please be advised this is a public hearing. We are being live televised on Channel 3 in Somerville. It is also being live streamed. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, a couple of things. We're going to try to limit the testimony tonight to about 2 minutes. There is a timer up on the podium, so if you are here to, if you're a member of the public and you're going to comment on any of the applications, please try to limit your comments to 2 minutes. That does not apply to the applicants. Commissioner Allen, you all set? Ready to go? Move for acceptance of the minutes of October 21st, 2019.
Second.
I have a few items that I want to bring to the clerk's attention. Item number 3 on the October 21st, and I've already clued Lori in on this. This is the third sentence from the end. There's a grammatical error. Week. Item number 5. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Okay. Item number 5. If we could double check the tape, and this was in the matter of Dark Horse, there's a statement that he will be obtaining a police detail for Friday and Saturday night. It's my recollection that the commission advised him to work with Sergeant Shaley. We did not request a police detail. Item number 17, there's a grammatical problem at the end of that paragraph, item 17. Can I keep going? So with those corrections, I move for acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. At the chair's discretion, I am going to take the 2 a.m. licenses that were continued from October. Those licenses are for Casey's. Come on up. I'm just going to have you guys come up, and then we'll try to get through these fairly quickly. The Burren, representative from the Burren. Orleans Restaurant. Any representation from Orleans? Orleans we'll put to the end of the agenda, Lori. Earl's Kitchen and Bar. Okay, Sergeant Shaley, you know the drill, right? Okay. These are all forms alcoholic beverages, 7-day restaurant licenses. These are the renewal of the 2 a.m. closings. From Casey's, if you could state your name for the record.
Dan Fitzgerald.
Welcome, Dan. Purpose of the application.
For the 2 a.m. license on weekends.
Thank you. Sergeant Shaley.
Is there no violations, problems?
Sergeant Shaley, you have to give it a little tap.
No violations this year, no incidents.
Great. Commissioner Allen?
No question. No questions.
All set? Yeah. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. The Burren.
Hi, my name is Brendan Quirk. I'm here for the Burn for the 2 o'clock license.
Sergeant Shaley.
They've had 2 minor incidents, one in June, the other in February. One was Saturday at 11:30 p.m. 2 parties separated. A fight started, broken up. No reported parties, no incidents with that. They were separated. And the other was Friday into Saturday, and there was a dispute. It came in as a fight call, but then spoke to the parties, and it was verbal. So both incidents, the owners did call, so there were no violations there.
Okay. Commissioner Allen.
No questions?
All set?
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Orleans? No. Earl's Kitchen and Bar. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Dylan Todd.
And Dylan, the purpose of the application.
For the 2 a.m. license.
Okay, Sergeant Shaley.
We don't have any incidents, any calls at all.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Allen,
No questions?
make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That takes care of the 2 a.m.s. We'll keep Orleans till the end of tonight. At the discretion of the chair, I'd like to take PepsiCo's out of order. This is a continuation from October. It is agenda item number 16. La Posada Restaurant, Medford Street, Somerville. Continue to the end of the hearing. Also at the discretion of the chair, I'd like to take Legal Seafoods out of order. That's item number 19. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Donna Cruz.
This is the existing alcohol license. It's a city-side license, all Form 7-day, requesting a change of the LLC manager, Assembly Row area, Chapter 142. Legal Seafoods, LLC, DBA Legal on the Mystic, 301 Great River Road, number 122, requesting approval for a change of LLC manager from Edward H. Pendergrass to Eric Chris.
That's correct.
Okay. And you are the man?
I'm a paralegal at the corporate offices of Legal Seafoods.
You are from Legal Seafood
Yes.
corporate offices.
Yes,
Thank you very
in-house
much.
counsel, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Allen.
Could you give a quick synopsis of Eric Chris's credentials?
Oh, Eric Chris. He, I didn't really get involved in that. I did all the paperwork for Mr. Chris. It's actually been already approved by the ABCC. This is a reverse application. Mr. Ed Pendergrass retired, so they elected Mr. Chris to take his place.
Do you know how long Mr. Chris has been with the organization, roughly, ballpark?
He's on the board of managers for the LLC, so he doesn't work for Legal Seafoods. He's just on the board. He has no beneficial interest.
Understood, thank you.
Commissioner Allen, that's the application into ABCC, and they have already approved?
They sent it a letter. It's such a large...
Yeah, let me see it again. Sorry. Where is the letter? I can't go, oh, sorry. If you bear with me, Counselor, 1 second. This is from the ABCC to the local licensing boards and commissions.
That's correct.
Yeah. Now I got it. Now I got it. Because of the large number of changing,
Yes.
you were
yes.
changing approximately 9 municipalities at the same time.
Yeah, we did all of Massachusetts at the same
Got it.
time.
Got it. Okay. Is that satisfied? Okay. Very good. Thank you, Lori. Make a motion to approve?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And back to the regular order of business. Before we begin, we're going to take up agenda item number 2. And this is East Coast Remedies Corp., 7682 Central Street. Approval for a Group A priority new marijuana retail license. At the October 21st meeting, this item was continued till today, and by request of Attorney DiGirolamo, he has requested that we continue this till January of 2020. We received that email on October 30th, 19. Counselor?
Thank you, members of the commission. Rich DiGirolamo on behalf of the applicant, East Coast Remedies. We actually held our community meeting several weeks ago, and it was very well attended. The neighbors did, however, request a traffic study, which is being prepared currently by design consultants. It is not yet concluded, and we did represent at the time we would have a second neighborhood meeting. So we are requesting that the matter be put over to your January meeting, since I believe the commission does not meet in December, which would allow us sufficient time to have a second community meeting.
Very good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Allen?
No statement.
Counselor, because this was advertised as a public hearing, I'm going to ask if there are any members of the public who wish to be heard on this matter. Seeing none. Lori, we also had communication from Councilor Ben Ewan-Campen. We'll enter that into the record. Did we receive any other public comments?
I didn't look through them all. They came fast and furiously. They're in your folder.
Okay. We will take into account, we'll enter it into the public record. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Union Leaf. And before we begin with Union Leaf, this is becoming a habit for me, reading a statement. Thanks for bearing with me, Counselor. This statement relates only to item number 3. It's the application that was made by Union Leaf, 7071 Union Square. At the Somerville Licensing Commission hearing of October 21st, 2019, the application by Union Leaf, 71 through 72 Union Square, was presented to the Somerville Licensing Commission. Although public comment was accepted, there was no deliberation or vote taken. As stated by me as chair, the matter would be continued to today, November 18th, 2019. Subsequent to the October meeting, I contacted the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Ethics Commission and asked them for advice and counsel concerning the following. In addition to my non-elected municipal employee role as licensing commissioner, I also serve as president of the board of directors of the not-for-profit agency, the Somerville Media Center, formerly known as SCAT TV. It is located at 90 Union Square. My role as board president includes, but is not limited to, the financial health and soundness of the media center. My role also includes setting of fees and dues for the organization. One of the many aspects of the offerings of the media center is our youth program. We offer a wide variety of fee-based classes to youth ranging in ages from 8 to 21. After 3 consultations, November 5th, 6th, and 7th, with the Assistant General Counsel, T. Michael McDonald of the State Ethics Commission on the particular matter, I was advised that in order to avoid any potential conflict of interest, I should file a disclosure form of financial interest and determination by my appointing authority, who is the mayor of the city of Somerville, as required by General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 19. The city solicitor's office of the city of Somerville reviewed the disclosure form, and I filed the required document with the mayor's office on November 7th. After review of the matter by the mayor, it has been determined that the financial interest is not so substantial as to be deemed likely to affect the integrity of the services which the municipality may expect from my performance as commissioner. That fully executed document is on file at the mayor's office, the city solicitor's office, the city clerk's office, and with Mr. T. Michael McDonald, Assistant General Counsel, Massachusetts State Ethics Commission. Copies of the document are available through the city clerk's office. The required document has been provided to Councilor Sullivan and Councilor DiGirolamo.
Yes, it has, Mr. Chairman.
We all set?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me. This is a continuance. Union Leaf, Inc., 7172 Union Square, requesting approval for a Group A priority new marijuana license. Hours of operation Monday through Saturday, 10 to 8, Sunday, 10 to 5. Notice of the public hearing. The public is welcome to be heard. Welcome back, Councilor.
Mr. Chairman, Walter Sullivan on behalf of Union Leaf. As you know, we've already given our presentation at the last meeting. We're back here as a result of the notice not actually going out appropriately to the public. We are here to answer any questions after the public has a chance to speak, if the board has any, if the commission has any. Thank you.
Great. Let the record reflect also that the commissioners and the members of the commission have been provided with a copy of the host agreement. That host agreement was executed in October. And the signatories to it are Katiana Ballantyne, she was acting as mayor in that matter, and David Shapiro, Assistant City Solicitor. I might add that we do have city staff with us tonight if we need assistance with any of this. Assistant City Solicitor Shapiro is here, Deputy Chief Carabino, and from Health and Human Services, Director Doug Kress, and from the Office of Strategic Planning, Sarah, drew a blank. Sarah Lewis. I'm sorry, Sarah, my apologies. So if we have any questions about that, I'm going to ask them to come up and assist us with it. Is the applicant present tonight, Counselor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have Greg Santos. Please stand, Greg. Laxmi Pradhan could not be here. He is home in Nepal. His son, Bino, is here. Rick Nagel, who is our security consultant, and Peter Greco, who is our products consultant.
Great. So if I could ask Mr. Santos to come on up, we have a couple of questions. Commissioner Allen, do you want to lead it off, or?
Actually, one question.
Welcome back. State your name for the record.
Hi, thank you. Gregory Santos for the applicant.
Great.
I had one question regarding your consumer pledge after I had some time to read it and review it. What sort of systems would you have in place to actually ensure that people who have violated this, stepped out front and immediately used product would be tracked and not sold to again?
Right, so we're going to be implementing what is effectively a computer tracking system for this. So anytime somebody signs our pledge, we're going to keep a database of who signed our pledge, and the next time they come along, they won't have to sign it again, but we'll see that they have signed on to the pledge and it is present. So whenever they come in and have their ID checked, that will be checked as well by the security personnel. So that information is all going to be tracked internally, and if someone needs to be switched off in our system and won't be served by our establishment, then we'll have that information available.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
And one of the big things that's been happening with all the dispensaries is the community meetings. You all had yours out of the way before all of these. Thank you. What were some feedback that you took and integrated into your proposal?
Right, so we held 2 community meetings. Both were held by City Councilor Ben Ewan-Campen. One was last March, and one was just a couple months ago before we had this process started. And we put out all the notices. We had a number of folks from the city and a number of neighbors attend. There's been a fairly substantial amount of support from the neighbors. Given that we have no direct residential neighbors, I think that's made things a little easier on us. One thing that you just brought up that we've been looking at very hard is our customer pledge. We want to make sure that that's serving our business needs and the needs of the community and the neighborhood. Another thing that we've been looking at and that we've been considering is one of our neighbors mentioned that waste may become a problem, and apparently they've been seeing a lot of litter around Union Square recently. And one thing we've talked about internally is having some of our employees just kind of go around maybe once or twice a week and pick up litter on Union Square. That's something we've been considering. We want to be good neighbors and keep our neighborhood and the square clean, especially directly in front of our shop. That's very important. Beyond that, if you'd let me consult with Mr. Pradhan for a second, there might be some internal conversations we've had that I'm not recalling, but let me just...
You can bring him up if you want to. Welcome, if you could just state your name.
Sure. My name is Binos Pradhan. I'm from Somerville. Yes, so there were a few concerns that, like Greg mentioned about the litter and those stuff that we will definitely take care of. But one thing I can tell you is being in Somerville for 21 years, owning 4 businesses in Somerville, we have pleased our neighbors and our other businesses around by keeping the neighborhood clean and listening to them. So the biggest thing would be listening to our neighbors and abutting businesses as well.
Nothing else off the top of my head. Ready to kick it over to you?
Sure, thank you. So, Mr. Santos, let's talk about the timeline here for a minute. As I understand the proposal is that you'll be pretty much keeping the same footprint of that building, but you're going up 2 to 3 stories, is that correct?
That is correct.
And when do you plan on getting in front of the planning board or the zoning board of appeals?
December 12th.
On December 12th, you'll be presenting to the planning board?
That's right. And Richard is our attorney, and he's present here. If you would like to ask a few questions, maybe he could answer a few of them.
Yeah.
Scheduled through the chair, Rich DiGirolamo, on behalf of the applicant. It's scheduled for a public hearing December 12th,
Okay.
planning board.
Okay.
It
If
requires-
all three of you want to stay up there, because it's kind of like, so you'll be heading into the planning board, you'll be presenting what you want to do with the site. They're going to be privy to these conversations that you're having in front of the licensing commission. What happens to your plan if the licensing commission has to delay this?
So we will not stop with the construction. We will do the first floor because it doesn't hamper what we're actually proposing. The only thing it hampers is the community center that we are looking to provide to the community, which is the second floor. If the planning board doesn't give us, then basically we'll just open our retail storefront. So meantime, what we do is we basically do the layout to make it ready for the second and third floor structure.
Okay. Let me ask you a direct question. You've been presented as the son of the owner.
Yes, sir.
Will you be on the corporate documents as well?
Well, I'm not at the moment. Greg Santos is, but I'm planning to assist my family because all our businesses are within family-run businesses. We live all together, and we work as a family. And that's what Somerville promotes, is a working family, so that's what we are.
Right. And on the legal document, who will the owner of the business be?
My father and Greg Santos.
Okay. Mr. Santos, you have a minority share in that?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. So December 12th comes and goes, you get your okay. What's the timeline for the build-out?
So if we get the approval from the planning board, it's basically up to the IST to issue us the construction drawings, which might take about a month or two to get all the building permits. If we do get a building permits within a month or two, I would say within 6 to 7 months, we should be able to build the building. Currently, right now, I'm doing a similar type of building structure in Inman Square. I'm sure you know Riles Jazz Club used to be. That's my project. I took the two-story building, knocked the second floor out, added 2 floors, make it a historic building. We brought it back to its original state. We have worked with the city closely into the busy square, and everybody is happy with what we have done. And I'm looking to do the same thing in Union Square as well.
Does that building have access and egress behind it?
So the building is equipped with sprinkler system, so we are only required to have one access by the building code. It will have an elevator for the people with disability and also stairways going all the way up to the 3rd floor.
But I guess my question is, can I get access to the back of that building via Sanborn Court?
No.
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 So there will only be one point of entrance
Yes,
and
sir.
egress, and that is onto the Union Square Plaza.
That's right, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about security again. Where's my friend?
Good evening.
Welcome back. Say your
My name
name
is
for the
Rick
record.
Nagel, Nagle, and I'm working as a consultant security for the company.
Okay. So now that you know where my line of questioning is going, at the last hearing I asked you about security. Security not only from the retail standpoint, but the transport of the product through Union Square. So now that I understand you only have one point of access and egress from the building, that there is no other way in or out, how are you going to be handling the secure deliveries in that neighborhood?
What we would do first is in non-operating hours, early in the morning. All deliveries will be done during daylight hours. So for instance, if this is going to open at 10 a.m., we're not going to give an exact time, which we shouldn't for security reasons, but it'll be early in the morning. When traffic is light, there's a designated spot there. It shouldn't take long to deliver that. We will have a number of security people there that will be there, that not only the transport company, they're required by the CMRs to have 2 people, and we also will have people there to greet them. It'll be a locked, secured, unmarked vehicle. We will be there. There will always be someone with the vehicle. It'll be someone that's going to transport the product in, and we'll have at least a minimum of 2 security people there to transport the product into the building. Okay. In a short period of time, then they will leave the facility and go back to their cultivation site. Let me just get up. Go ahead.
Just to give you an idea, Mr. Chairman, Caroline's Cannabis is located in Uxbridge. They only have one entrance. I was out there the other day. They had nine boxes delivered to them of cannabis. It was done during their hours. They closed the process down, took everyone outside. They waited outside, and a secured delivery truck with 2 people delivered the product, brought it in. It was all accounted for, and Rick can explain the process of accounting. And then the place opened back up after all the product was secured.
Yeah, Councilor, my line of questioning is more on the public safety. So as you know, that's a cul-de-sac. So the delivery truck pulls in front of that building, and there's no way out but to turn around. So what I'm getting at is a secure delivery is going to be sitting in the middle of that parking lot, delivering to the site.
Correct.
In full view of the public.
Correct. Again, like I said, it'll be a minimum of 4 people there. They'll be escorting the product in. The product won't be open to the visible eye. You won't know, gee, look at that, look what it is. They'll bring it in. There'll be a number of people there. There'll be radio in the head, so people will be outside waiting for them. Cameras are on them. They're going to be, I think that's a pretty secure site that I looked at. I looked at where they're going to park in front by the curb there. I thought it was pretty good. It's going to be in daylight. You're in a busy section. For public safety, I feel comfortable with that. I think it's a good location for it. Even when I first looked at the building, I thought it was a pretty good location for a number of reasons. You alluded to the egress on the rear. That's to and fro. I mean, the thing is, we're not worried about security in the rear, which is good for security. Everything's going to come in and out. What I would suggest to them strongly is that deliveries are prior to opening, not close the place down, deliver it, then open the place again. Let's do it before you even open up.
What if you run afoul of Somerville's traffic and parking?
Well, that's why you do it early enough. And we can speak with the cultivation and say, we do not want it after 10 a.m. If you have traffic and you can't get here, turn around and go back.
Yes.
So it's incumbent upon you to be there prior to 10 a.m.
Right, you'll be using a loading zone, I assume.
Yes.
There are multiple loading zones within that parking lot.
Correct.
Right. And they're only during certain hours. Do you know what those hours are?
No, I'm sure. I looked at it, but I forget exactly what those hours are. I don't want to say if I'm not absolutely sure.
Right. I would guide you to make sure when you're making statements about we're going to be doing this early in the morning, that traffic and parking allows you to do it early in the morning.
Well, the first thing I would do is speak with this gentleman right here, the deputy chief, and work with them and to make sure that everything is copacetic.
Okay. One of the things that I always look for is the public health and the public safety.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we've been getting a lot of comments about is how is this product going to get delivered into the heart of Somerville? How are you going to control it? How are you going to make sure that the general public is safe? So is that vehicle unmarked?
It has to be unmarked. That's part of it will be unmarked. It will be secured. Not only will the product be secured in the vehicle, it'll be secured within the vehicle with another locker. So it'll be there. Again, someone stays with the vehicles at all times. One person comes out, they radio ahead. It's all videoed. And once they get in, it'll be videoed. It'll be weighed again, make sure it's not tampered with. There'll be people outside, and hopefully it'll be very nondescript. They're going in and out.
And the attendants are not armed, correct?
Correct. They're not armed.
Okay. And the actual product, when it leaves the back of the unmarked truck, I'm taking you down a path here.
No, that's fine, and I won't elaborate that it's a truck. I mean, you certainly don't want to describe what type of vehicle it is, but go ahead.
No, it's a delivery vehicle.
They're very good, yes.
Unmarked delivery vehicle with unarmed attendants. Is the product labeled in a way so that a kid on the way to school would be able to read that box and understand what's inside that box?
No. And also the CMRs for the state will say that not only it's not going to be that way, you're not going to misconstrue, gee, is that candy or what is that? Gee, that looks something that's, it's an appetite that I want to query that further. Okay. So no, there will be anything like that.
One more question on the, I'm sorry, Councilor. No, on the cash. So under federal law, I understand there are some prohibitions that you may have in dealing with federally insured banks. How is the payment method going to be done? And how is the transportation of cash out of that site to be done? I don't need to know the actual particulars, but I need to know the movement.
Well, first of all, there are banks in Massachusetts that will take the cash, very close to here. So they will do that. How we're going to do that, again, that's something that we probably don't want to say, but we will have it, it'll be a protocol, it'll be logged, it'll be at least 2 people, and there won't be much money left in that establishment. As I mentioned last time, I call it frequent sweeps. What does that mean? We may, for instance, want to put, gee, when you have $500 in your till, you raise your hand or you push a button, they come in, they put it in the safe, and if they have a certain amount, then they call up what type of company we're going to use, and they'll come in and they'll take the money and take it directly to that bank.
Let me stop you there. So it is the intent that if you have a certain amount of cash in the vault, you would call an armored car service?
We will call a service. I don't want to say in the public what type of service it is, but we will not leave a large amount of cash in that building, and that's what I recommend to them.
Okay. Again, it goes back to our duty in the commission to try to figure out the safety, the public safety. So what I'm trying to get at is at any point in that facility, would there be an armed guard, attendant, cash remover, anything?
Well, if there's an armed vehicle that's coming, again, that would be something that I would want to work out with the deputy chief of the city of Somerville. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable if we have an armed vehicle come in and get that cash? Something we can work. That's a work in progress. If they say no, then that's fine. We can have them come in nondescript, take it out. I mean, certainly we're going to have plenty of cameras there, as I alluded to last time. What I mentioned, what's going to be different, everything's going to be logged in. And even people who come in, whether it's a private company, they're going to be escorted. They're going to be badged and escorted so we know who they are. We don't want to bring attention to ourselves. That's my opinion. We want to do it in a very nondescript way. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. Okay. Mr. Prada?
Just to let you know that Century Bank in Medford, in Mystic Ave, we have already opened an account. They already serve more than 50 dispensaries locally, carrying their cash, receiving their cash. Also, they have debit card system now. They have a credit card system to pay, which they already gave us a list of vendors. So now there's less of a cash transaction, more of a credit card transaction going on because there's third party who does that, and Century Bank is already capable of doing that. I met with the person who is actually in charge of all these accounts. We have already opened the accounts and it's all set up.
In your negotiations with Century Bank, will you also have a cash machine on site?
Yes, so we have to follow with all.
So let me just try to follow along here. Yep. So you will have a cash machine that's serviced by
Century Bank.
Yeah,
exactly.
So my old banker's hat I'm putting on here. When you service a cash machine, you generally have an armored car service doing that.
Yes. So
let me go back to your security guy. That's why I'm asking the question. If there is a cash machine on site and Century Bank owns that cash machine, no doubt, unless they changed it from my time, is being serviced by an armed guard for an armored car service. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yep.
Let me just do a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. First of all, the vehicle that will be doing the delivery is a van, like any other van. Right now, if you drive down there, you'll see big Budweiser trucks and everything. So this fits into a parking space. To get into the van, the doors are locked. When you open up the back door, there's another locked area. And then from after you get into that, then there's the locked packages. These products are in locked containers similar to what you'll see getting delivered to CVS. They're unmarked. They'll have locks on them, and they won't be open until they go inside. As for the cash issue, they're allowed to they can take cash or use a debit card. Mm-hmm. You can't use a credit card, so people can come in and use their debit cards to purchase. One of the issues, I'll give you an example. Sarah Naturals, originally, which is in Cambridge, had cannabis written in their name. The bank informed them that they really need to remove that as the name going in on the debit card because they just don't want anything saying cannabis in it. Ours is going to say Union Leaf. So
could be a tea company.
Excuse me?
Could be related to selling of tea.
Be very interesting tea.
Let me go back. There's one more that I want to, and Counselor, you can I think you can address this, or Mr. Santos. Recently in the news, there were issues with the Brookline site. Neighbors were complaining about the customers who are being directly tracked back to that site, public disturbances outside, public urinating within sight of some of those residences. What are the policies and procedures that you're going to have in place that when the city of Somerville notifies you, either through this commission or through the ward counselor, that there's an issue with the site? How are you going to address that quickly and efficiently?
You know, as I think we mentioned at the last meeting, we're going to have a community liaison officer who's not only going to work with the community and the neighbors and government officials, including the police department. We want to be able to address the issues before they become an issue. I think when you look at Netter and Brookline, the lines were 1,200 people. They have died down there, and it became a serious issue in trying to deal with it. By the time we open, you're not going to, you're not going to see the numbers that existed at Netter. That's the busiest store in the state. At the time, we only had 29. As of today, we have 33 stores. By the time we open, you're going to look at a minimum of 50 probably by then. So we're really looking at a facility that is driven by the neighborhood versus people coming from a distance. So we really shouldn't. Plus, we also have the pledge. That pledge applies to everything. That when you leave the facility, if you cause any problems in the community, public urination, using cannabis in public, which is illegal, urinating in public is illegal. You know, that impacts your ability to come back to the store. So I think that's how we address it, and also working very closely with the police department, the boards, and the neighbors. That should help prevent any issues from getting bigger.
If I can add one thing.
Sure, Mr. Santos.
It is our plan from the start to start with timed appointments. So rather than, the city has said there's going to be no queuing in public right-of-ways. So the plan is, and for the foreseeable future, we plan on booking appointments online and then bringing in people for a window of time. So you won't. So if you drive by the Brookline site, you notice that they're having issues with parking over there. They've had to move into a hotel parking lot, and there's lots of people that queue in their parking lot. We're not going to have any of that, and I think that will certainly cut back on any issues that we might face.
So you would be amenable to this commission conditioning the approval that you will have an appointment only for a set period of time?
If that's the feeling of the commission, I think it'd be better to leave that up to the police department to make that determination as we work with them, because we don't know by the time we open a year and a half from now what it's going to be like. So to have that put in there right away just could...
You could always come back, though, Counselor.
Yes, but I mean, it might be easy. It's really up to the commission to determine what they perceive as the best way to proceed. I think working with the police department, however you want to do it. But we would accept that as
right.
As
We
part of
see
the
it.
condition.
We see it that there is pent-up demand, cannibalizing some of the business that's coming from Brookline could create queuing problems outside of a Somerville location. We fully understand that by the time you get this open, there may be another 30 that will open up across the Commonwealth. But we cannot go on kind of woulda, shouldas, or promises.
We have to look at today.
We have to look at today. We have to look at what other municipalities have experienced. And that's why Commissioner Allen and I, unfortunately, Commissioner McKenna is not joining us tonight, but Commissioner Allen and I, because we cannot discuss the cases, we look at news reports. So we've seen what has happened in other municipalities. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't tell you how many are going to be open because we don't have that insight into the CCC. So we have to look at today. We have to look at the community response. Community is very concerned about security at the site. They're very concerned about signage. And you know that when you get in front of planning and zoning, they're going to look at the legislation. And the legislation states that you cannot have anything that even resembles a marijuana plant, or hell, even the Canadian maple leafs insignia. So my line of questioning is going to continue on in terms of the security, making the community feel comfortable that your establishment is doing everything it can to not have any incidents down there, whether it's, a simple, somebody smoking it on the way down the sidewalk. Those things should be reported to you, because public consumption is not something that they should be doing. It's against the law. In case anybody doesn't remember that, public consumption is against the law. So what we're trying to do is weigh the benefits of new business coming into the city. Who are those applicants? Are they going to do the business proud? It's a brand new industry. I'm sure that everybody reads the facts that some of the CCC has pulled some licenses because of technical issues. We want to make sure that the neighborhood is comfortable with your establishment coming in. And the only way we can do that is to question you about security, about your procedures, about what in the event, if something happens, what are you going to do? So we need to feel comfortable about that today, not 3 months.
A couple of things, if I may. One, and I haven't chatted with the owners, but I'm sure they'd agree, is a 24-hour line. That way there, if someone wants to call with an issue and they don't want to identify himself, at least we'll have that on record that there's something there. Also, I would like to work very closely with the police department. And what does that mean? Maybe monthly meetings. Meetings to sit down and discuss what are the issues this month. Maybe it's just like the gentleman who came in prior, there isn't any issues. But if they are, you're going to know forthwith. We'll discuss them if that's something they're willing to do. But we're willing to have an open door, be transparent, be part of the board if you want, meet once a month, meet quarterly, whatever you think behooves the community. But we're willing to do that. We're willing to discuss issues, maybe a 24-hour line where if someone wants to call at midnight to say they saw something but they don't want to leave their name, then we can be vigilant and sort of continue on that.
I have my own 24-hour line right here, Sergeant Shaley.
Good.
Commissioner Allen, I'm monopolizing here. You got some questions?
The privilege of being chair, but question on the ATM flow, how a normal transaction would be involving that. I know most retailers, I believe, have like a virtual ATM. You're buying, it comes to $78. The virtual ATM pulls out 80, you get 2 back. You would have a physical ATM in addition to or replacing that virtual ATM system?
There would be an ATM there as well as being able, the ability to use your debit card other than you using cash directly.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any back of the envelope estimations for how many customers you expect to pay with debit versus pay with cash?
I don't know off the top of my head right now. It's being used more and more as the industry grows. In Massachusetts, with bringing, we now have 3 banks online, and that should increase.
Excellent. This would be for Ms. Lewis. I know Director Proakis has talked about with the community host agreements, one of the... Oh, fair enough. I know Director Proakis has stated that one of the important goals of our host community agreements is that we came up with one template that was applied to all licensed shops, and I just wanted to make sure that the copy that we've been given today has in fact achieved that goal.
I believe it has.
Excellent. So we only have one here today for Union Leaf, but when we get the other ones, the only thing that ideally should be different is these very final pages and the blanks filled in at the very front.
The signatures and, yes, exactly, the addresses and names.
Wonderful. Excellent. I think it's very important to get that into the public record given all the scrutiny that they are undergoing right now. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to raise one comment. Some ways the best way to judge how a business is going to be in the future is how the business acts in the past. The family has had a number of businesses in Somerville, liquor stores, a restaurant. They're building a hotel in Tail Square. I mean, I think they've been a very good, not only a very good resident of Somerville for 21 years, but also a very good business in Somerville, working with the community. I believe last meeting, we had the Business Association testify in our favor.
Sorry. Councilor, I get it. I mean, we're aware of it because this commission granted the license for the package store in Union Square. When we did that, we had no opposition whatsoever. We had no members of the public concerned. So we understand in that highly regulated industry, package stores and restaurants with liquor licenses are a different beast. than a recreational marijuana store. They should be treated alike, and that's the guidance that we get from the CCC. But as you know, there is still 27% of the populace of Somerville who did not vote for this. We're not trying to satisfy every single person in that 27, but we are very, very cognizant that this is a new business. It's a new industry. It is something that we take very seriously and make sure that the public is comfortable with our decisions. So it's not a lecture, it's just trying to give you the sense of why we're doing it this way.
No, and I was just raising, that if you look at their history in feeling comfortable with the person that's before you, I think they've been a good neighbor.
Yes. And we also represent the public, and the public doesn't know Mr. Brunel. So I'm going to open this up to, do we have any comments from the fire department in terms of the product that's being stored, how it's being transported, any issues whatsoever? Lieutenant McLaughlin.
We've had several brief internal discussions about it, not so much with the product, but the building itself, any building, where it will be treated as such. The product removed, the building is our concern. Fire alarm systems, suppression systems, security to get in and out of the building in the event of an alarm. So again, it's just been several small discussions, and until we get more information, we look at it as a product not being there. We look at the building as a whole for safety issues. Transporting is not our issue.
Okay, you good? Counselor, let me ask you that question. It's just, I don't have all the questions tonight, but in the event of a false alarm at the building, does the fire department have access to that building on their own, or do they need one of the building attendants to be there with them?
What I have done in the past, I've suggested a lockbox, so you have access to that. I mean, so if, let's say something goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the product's going to be locked up inside, as I alluded to last time.
So no product is left in the case?
Correct.
They're all put back in the vault at night?
Correct. So you could walk around that establishment and not have access to any product. This is something we would work with the lieutenant with in the fire department. If there's something that you wanted a box, we will put it outside. And that way there you have access and certainly have egress to that. I mean, our alarms will notify us. We'll have someone there forthwith also. But if that helps at all, and we can have that in discussions later on if that's something that you're interested in.
Okay.
That would be fine. Our concern would be during the day, during business hours. If we had to gain access, and the customers and the employees exiting the building, what is your security or measures or concern if we enter the building?
You're paramount. You're number one. So we will work around that. We will have security. We'll escort people out of the building. We'll make sure they get out in a safe manner, and we're going to go by your direction. Whatever you suggest is what we're going to do.
Obviously, if there's no fire, we can work with you in terms of having somebody escort us around, but in the event of a fire, everybody out.
You're the number one person to make that call, and absolutely. And yes, we will walk around with you, and we'll walk around the building, and to your satisfaction, then we'll reopen.
We also discussed prior to your opening having inspectional walkthroughs.
Absolutely.
Make everybody familiar with the building?
Absolutely. And also with the police department. Absolutely. And they be part of the planning process. Look at those plans, make suggestions. Certainly they're going to heed to your suggestions. You're the professional when it comes to fire, professional when it comes to police. That's absolute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergeant Shelley, do you want to weigh in on any aspect here?
I was wondering with the traffic design at the beginning, would they be utilizing police details for that?
We have not discussed it, but that's something we brought up depending what the police department wanted. It's really a communication working with the deputy chief on making it work the way the police department and the fire department, as well as city officials, want it to work. So that is something that we'll always be considering.
That was just my only concern with that.
I've had that question asked prior, and one chief said, it's up to you whether or not. Another chief was very concerned that everything goes through him for union purposes and people power, if you will. So that would be a decision that the police department would make. If they feel more comfortable with the police detail, I'm sure the owners would go along with that.
Commissioner Allen.
No further questions right now?
All right. The subject of traffic and parking and all the wonderful things that we deal with here in a very urban, dense environment are going to come up, no doubt, in the planning. When you get in front of the planning board, get in front of the ZBA, there's going to be a longer road ahead than just us. So I'm going to ask, Director Kress if he has any comments he wants to make. And Deputy Chief Carabino, you are welcome to make any comments if you'd like. And I don't see the ward councilors here. Ben Ewan-Campen did submit comments at the previous hearing. Councilor J.T. Scott submitted comments at the previous hearing. Deputy Chief, welcome.
Thank you, sir. We thoroughly vetted this group, and as far as from a security standpoint, I feel confident and comfortable with them. So just want to add that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Doug Kress, Director of Health and Human Services for the city, and I was part of the MAC as you had expressed. We are confident in this group. One of our concerns that we always have anytime that we're talking about a substance such as this is really access for youth and limiting that access, but also being part of the partnerships to do that education, and not just for our young people, for our adults, for when they're using it, but also where they're storing it in their own homes and making sure the information is out there to limit that access and exposure to the products.
Director Kress, your experience with the advisory committee, so any of the fees that we receive through the host agreement, are those going into a general fund for prevention education, or are those earmarked?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think you need to be clear about what are the fees that you're asking about.
Okay.
There are different fees within there. There's just the application fees that you have within those, but within the host agreement, it does lay out the areas of where the community host benefit agreement and funds will be placed within the city itself, and those are allocated to do a variety of things around mitigation of the use of these, or it could be around education, it could be around street cleanings and street sweepings and improvements for our community that may be impacted by the products and the sales.
So in effect, it's all laid out in the host agreements. Those are fully executed between the city and the applicant. This one is?
Mr. Chair, yes, for the most part, yes, that's how it is.
Okay.
It does take time to get all those implemented. We've been doing those with the community benefits agreements. For the medical ones, those have been more dedicated into the area of health and health education.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the commission? None? Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm going to open it up to public comment. Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on this application? If you could, step forward, state your name for the record. Seeing none? Commissioner.
Is it too late? Apologies.
It is not. I'm sorry. I didn't see you come up. If you
As
could
a
state your name for the
second
record.
time here, I wanted to give an opportunity for others. Proceed.
Proceed.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jessica Eschleman. I'm the Executive Director of Union Square Main Streets. I have returned to express our organization's enthusiastic support of Union Leaf's application. This team first brought their plans to our organization over a year ago, and since that time, they have kept us updated with progress and answered our questions with each that has arose. We want to take special note about the family that has operated the storefront in Union Square for the past 20-plus years. Our organization has worked with the Prondon family in a variety of different capacities, and in our experiences, we have found the whole family to operate excellent businesses, the most recent of which does handle controlled substances or regulated substances. We're also very excited that this project brings with it a redevelopment opportunity for the square, as that's core with our mission. And we do know that this particular space is well suited both for, in our opinion, the redevelopment of the building itself, but also this economic activity. So I'm here again to reiterate our strong support for the applicant and express our enthusiasm for this new wave of economic activity to have a home in Union Square. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner?
I think the only real unknown is the issue that you brought up of, do we require bookings by appointment or do we allow people to queue up? I think I'm going to be a little bit more lax than you in terms of, I think by the time this is online, a lot of that pressure is going to be relieved by the existence of other dispensaries in the metropolitan area. I would be happy with a compromise of a 3-month period where on nights and weekends it was by appointment, but during daytime hours you could go at will.
You were this close to having the right answer, Commissioner. That close. So I'm inclined to move the item tonight. And as I said before, I don't have a crystal ball, so I cannot tell the members of the Somerville public how many more recreational marijuana shops will be open by the time this applicant has a brand new building with all the security bells and whistles, and hopefully will satisfy a lot of the merchants and the residents of the Union Square area. However, I do think it's wise for us to consider a time limitation for by appointment only. That gives the residents and the businesses time to adjust to the fact that there is a recreational marijuana shop open in the middle of their business district, in the middle of their residential district. So I would feel very comfortable moving ahead with requiring the applicant to have a by appointment only business for 6 months after the license has been issued to them from the Somerville Licensing Commission. The way that this is going to happen going forward is that the applicant has a long road to go. They appear before us, we either deny, we either condition, or we just rubber stamp it. It's never been our intention to rubber stamp these applications. So I think moving forward, the applicant is going to have plenty of time to come back to us and request an amendment to that condition. If we see 20 or 30 more shops opening by the time he gets his building built in Union Square, he may come back to the commission and say, you know what, we can't wait 6 months. We need to have this open to the general public without appointment. And you're not going to have the masses of people coming into Union Square, either by vehicle or queuing up in front on the sidewalk. So my intent is to try to ease this into the public by asking the applicant if they would be comfortable with a by appointment only for 6 months after you commence operation, and then we'll review it.
Mr. Chairman, we have no objection to that. It's actually a good idea.
Commissioner?
If they don't object, takes the wind out of my sails on it.
You were that close. So if there are no more comments, I am going to make the motion to approve item number 3, Union Leaf Inc., 71 to 72 Union Square, requesting approval of a Group A priority new marijuana retail license with the hours of operation Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., with the following condition: that the applicant open its doors by appointment only for 6 months after they commence operation here in the city of Somerville. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Counselor. Any parting shots? Any parting comments? All right. Anybody need to take a break? We're going to continue on. Okay. Item number 4 is Northeast Select Harvest Corp., 378A, 378B, and 380 Highland Avenue, requesting approval for a Group A priority new marijuana license. Hours of operation, none were listed. Counselor, welcome. State your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Rich DiGirolamo on behalf of Northeast Select Harvest Corporation, who is an applicant for a recreational marijuana dispensary license at 378 to 382 Highland Avenue. They are one of the 3 recipients of a Group A. They were a Group A applicant based on the principle of Northeast Select Harvest Corp. And some others being Somerville residents, Mr. Rob Gregory. And I'm joined by several individuals tonight who will all speak with your permission as part of our presentation. Just briefly, we held our community outreach meeting on November 12th, and it was hosted by Councilor Lance Davis. It was fairly well attended and generally well received, and we complied with all of the statutory requirements for the community community outreach meeting, having mailed all of the abutters within the requisite geographical area. I'm joined this evening by Robert Gregory, who probably no stranger to your commission. He is the founder and owner of Red Bones Restaurant, resident of Chester Street, Somerville, and the president of Northeast Select Harvest Corporation, the applicant here this evening. And he will address you briefly. After Robert, Mr. Jamie Crum, who has extensive experience in the cannabis industry. He is a product expert. His experience is mainly up in Maine, owns a company called Greenfellas. He will address your commission on some of the operational issues and the cannabis restrictions for this location. Scott Jenkins, who is with ACT Protective Services, will address your commission on security. Maria Cacciaiola, who is formerly the Chief Executive Officer of the Riverworks Credit Union in Lynn, who has spent roughly 30 years in banking, and who was the Chief Operating Officer of Northeast Select Harvest, will address you on some of the business aspects and banking aspects and monetary requirements of this application. And finally, Steve Saragusa with Design Consultants is our traffic and parking engineer. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask if Mr. Rob Gregory could address your board.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Yep. Hello, my name's Rob Gregory. I'm a resident of Somerville and the owner of a business in Somerville, Red Bones, of 33 years. When the opportunity arose that the city made it possible for local businesses and residents to apply and get looked at preferentially as opposed to the big outside operations, I thought, well, that might be a good challenge and a good opportunity for me. I've been in the fun product business for many years, and it seemed like an interesting direction to go in. Of course, with big challenges. I think I have the experience, to work with many people and, come up with a business that hopefully will be the gold standard of retail shops, marijuana retail shops. We put together a great team. My team members will speak. I think the most important thing is I've been a big part of the community. I care about the community. I care about this thing being done correctly, being done right. I have kids in Somerville High School. I'm aware of, prevention issues, and I'm aware of, being in a tight residential area and managing a lot of people coming to your business. So I think I bring a lot of experience in that area to the table. I'd like to have our Chief Operating Officer, Jamie Crum, who's going to be, knows a lot about the marijuana business from operating a store in Maine, and as well as winning many awards in the cannabis field. And his name is Jamie Crum. Here he is.
Mr. Gregory, before you leave, I just have one question.
Sure,
for you.
yeah.
Are you still the sole majority share owner of Red Bones?
Am I still? I was never the sole majority share owner of Red Bones. I started Red Bones with my partner Karen Whitney, and we were both 50% owners. And years ago, we brought in a small group of investors to buy the building and the bar. And so I currently own 37.5% of Red Bones, and my partner Karen Whitney owns 37.5%, and we have a small group that owns 25%.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jamie Crum, and I've been involved in the cannabis business since late 2014. I started in this business in the biomass extraction of cannabis products, so the oils that we extract from the waste products from cannabis. I then went into cultivation, so to expand our business, give us opportunity to do some R&D on the extraction side of things. And to this day, I've consulted around the United States, places like Colorado, California, Maine, Massachusetts, as well as out of the country in Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and Canada. I met Rob through a mutual friend who had some interest in starting a business down here. As I mentioned, I co-found these businesses, so I do have partners as well as general managers that run my businesses in Maine currently. The idea that I've had the opportunity to be in play with a lot of different parts of this business, I feel like has given me, kind of a great starting point on, retail, as far as knowing a lot about the extraction process, knowing a lot about the cultivation process. We recently opened up an edible kitchen. So one of my, strengths, I think, is not knowing just one specific part of this business, but knowing the whole part of this business. My companies serve 25 stores in the state of Maine right now, currently, that we work with on a daily basis. We have already started getting into the seed to sale program, so we're experienced with that, where I think a lot of other people haven't had that opportunity to be experienced. So, all in all, being in Maine for the last 4 to 5 years, traveling around the country, learning from other programs, outside of Maine, I feel like has given me, a great opportunity to get a head start on, the business down here in Massachusetts. This is something that's happening very quickly, and people are having to pick up, rather fast. So I feel like myself being part of this team, I bring that part to the team of being able to help them out with bridging this and, the startup.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce our security consultant, Scott Jenkins.
Good evening.
Scott, don't be afraid. Just because of what I did to the last security guy, just...
No worries. Scott Jenkins from ACT Protective Services. We've been in business 6 years. We've been in marijuana 3 years. We currently work with 2 medical and 1 recreational dispensary. We will have a team of 4 guys to start, 4 guards to start. 1 will be positioned at the door. 1 will be positioned in the camera room. 1 will be floating in the sales area. The other one will be a roving guard, so we can try and address the debris, people breaking open the packages and smoking, between somebody on the cameras and 1 roving guard, and all of them being wired up together. That's going to be our attempt to try and keep that down, eliminate things like the urinating in the area, things like that. We have, from a delivery standpoint, we have a rear door, so we'll block off the alleyway. Deliveries will come through that. I'm a preferred vendor for Century Bank, so I'll be handling all the cash. We will be exiting through the rear door, so we're not dealing with the public. We're not cutting through the sales floor. When the cash sweeps are done from the registers, there is a hallway behind the point of sale, so they can go through a door, have a secure hallway to work through, don't have to carry cash across the floor in front of people. It's really a very good setup from the security standpoint. Plenty of cameras, someone's always on the cameras. NetWatch is putting the cameras in. When we're not there, they monitor them. So in the morning when we get there, my guards will arrive an hour before they start, sweep the parking lots, sweep the perimeter. The team leader will talk with management, find out what we have for deliveries, what we have for maybe special guests, or CCC, or yourselves coming through so we know what's going on. Once we open up, I've already told you what the status will be with the guards. After we close, my guards, 2 guards will stay on site until the last person's out of the building. So if we have 5 employees that are going to walk across the street to the parking lot, we're going to escort them over, come back, and stay on site until it's locked up for the night. Right now, that's the plan. That's always in flux based on what we need. I've already reached out. I sent an email actually to Deputy Chief Carabino today to meet with him, go over the security plan, and then talk about what his thoughts are on a detail or 2. I truly believe in the detail being there at the door or on the street. As security, I can tell you, please don't do that. And then I can threaten you with, you've broken the promise you've made, the contract you've signed. But I can go no further. So having a police officer on hand, so that should it move past that, okay, the next step is they're going to get involved. It has a little more teeth to it. Questions?
Let me just, before we begin to open it up, let me ask you a question about delivery again.
Sure.
Van, vehicle.
Yep.
Pulls up on Cutter Street?
Pulls into the parking lot.
Into the parking lot that's currently being used by the Greek restaurant?
Yep.
Is that, Counselor, maybe you can answer the question, is that Greek restaurant going out of business?
No, it's not. There's presently, there's presently 3 vacant storefronts. So there's Tanakh, which is the Mexican restaurant on the corner. There's 3 vacant storefronts in the middle where this proposal would be situated. And then there's the small Greek restaurant on the side. That parking lot accommodates roughly 8 to 10 vehicles. And additionally, and Steve Saragusa will speak to this, but additionally, they have an arrangement with a building across the street where their employees, who are going to be encouraged not to drive to work, and who will hopefully be mostly Somerville residents, if there is a need for parking, they don't want the employees parking in that lot, just customers. And Steve will speak to that shortly.
Yeah. Hold on, Counsel. What else is in that parking lot?
Parking lot next to the building?
You're proposing to use that as part of the offset for the parking, correct?
Yes.
What else is in that parking lot besides parking spaces?
There is a little eating area, I think, for the Greek restaurant.
It's outdoor seating?
Outdoor seating, yeah.
Okay. All right, I just want to make sure. Okay. So one more time, Cutter Street or Highland Avenue for delivery?
Highland Avenue.
Highland Avenue.
If you come in off Highland Avenue, you pass the seating area on your left, move to the back of the parking lot. There's an alley entryway service area there.
Right.
Guards would know we'd be getting calls from a point of contact on the transport vehicle. Try and keep it as low-key as possible, but there'll be a guard at one end of the alley and a guard at the other end of the alley to receive. The vehicle will be out of there fairly quickly, but they have to stay long enough to count.
Okay.
So, same thing will happen, and that will happen. They will not all happen before opening. It's just with traffic, weather, things like that, it's almost impossible. But we have that covered. We don't have to go through the retail space.
Okay.
So.
Thanks.
Maria Cacciolo, she's our Chief Financial Officer.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and what I bring to the team. 30 years, a little bit more of banking experience. The last 14 is Chief Financial Officer of a credit union. What I learned from that is how to handle security, how to handle employees, how to handle clients, and make sure that their safety, the safety of the employees, the safety of the clients is the #1 priority. As far as cash handling, I started as a teller, so I know what it is like. So I kind of worked my way up to become CEO from a teller position. So I know what it is like to run a retail store, because banking is retailing. You're just selling cash. Here we're selling something else. How to handle cash, how to communicate with banks. We are thinking of, we're encouraging 50% of our sales to be done through ATMs. And also we're looking at a cashless ATM machine so that we can keep down our cash and our ability or our need to have it picked up as often as we need to. So that's really what our plan is. I come from a very highly regulated environment. Banking is very highly regulated. And I'm stepping into a highly regulated environment. Although there is we still don't have the right book for this, but I know that following regulations and compliance is going to be my #1 priority. So, any questions?
Very good, thank you. Up next.
Is Steve Saragusa, our parking consultant.
Welcome.
Steve Saragusa from Design Consultants. So the biggest thing we had to look at was two things. The types of trips that were going to be coming to and from the store and parking in the area. So the biggest thing we looked at was how people are going to get there. So we looked at the census data from not just Somerville, but also 4 surrounding communities. We think that's important because, as you guys had mentioned before, today there's only a handful of places that people can go. So right now this may act as a destination. And what that data told us was that about 50% of people commute daily by vehicle. We anticipate that given this location right by Davis Square, the MBTA, and in anticipation of other shops opening, that upwards of about 75% of people are going to be walking, biking. There will be bike parking spaces on site provided for visitors. So we think that about 75% of people to this establishment will be walking, biking, things of that nature, not driving. Second is, if they do drive, as mentioned, there will be about 8 to 10 parking spaces on site. There is a lease agreement with 373 Highland Avenue across the street, so that employees that wish to drive won't be parking on site and taking up those parking spaces. And there's also a multitude of, I think there's about 5 public parking lots within Davis Square. There's also parking along Highland Ave as well. And given the low number of people that we expect to drive, we don't expect there to be a huge impact on the parking supply either. So, thank you.
Okay, so let's go in reverse order. How's that? Stay right up there. Traffic and parking, you understand, is going to be handled a lot by planning. When you get in front of planning, they're going to have a lot of questions about it. And as you know, in this city, don't blink. Sometimes we change the parking spaces. So I'm not concerning myself with the on-street parking at this point. I'm going to be focusing back on security, public safety, line queues on the sidewalk, the movement of the delivery vehicles in and out of the parking lot, or parked in front of the facility on Highland, or there's nothing there, now they're going to park on Cutter. All of those things go through our head when we talk about your product being delivered to your site and the public safety. How do you anticipate handling from a traffic flow the delivery? Are they going right into the parking lot?
That would be, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So normally we would stage with cones, block off a spot, they would come in. If
So
they-
you're decreasing the amount of parking during delivery?
For safety purposes, yes.
Got it. Okay.
If we have a problem where we have a full lot, for whatever reason, we will call the delivery transport people and tell them, go around, just hover till we open it up, because they need to be able to back in to secure it. It's generally not a very large van, so it's not like it's a UPS truck. It's something small. They'll back in, we'll unload it, or they'll unload it, we'll just provide overwatch. Again, they get it in the building quickly as possible, they do their count, and they're out of here. Once the product is in the building, the van can leave. It doesn't have to stay there, because there's two people. One has to be in the van at all times. The other one's going to stay and do the count. They can pull off, they can drive in circles until they're ready, pick up their partner, and head to the next stop.
I'm sure Councilor Davis will love to hear that they're going to
Well,
be circling Davis Square.
It may or may not be that the case, but that's worst case scenario if we have problems in the parking lot as far as parking or blocking.
What time of day do you anticipate the deliveries? You heard me asking questions of the
Deliveries
previous
come all
applicant.
times of day, because as somebody who has done many deliveries, I did transports for years, you could leave at 7 in the morning with every anticipated arrival time of 8 o'clock, and you get there at 10, or you get there at 11, or you get repositioned by whoever you're transporting for, and you have to go make a drop here and reverse things. It can happen anytime, and they're going to show up. My clients, where we are now, my guards may have a delivery show up at 8 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 5 at night. It's not up to us. It's up to the person that they're purchasing the product from and their transport team. We're not in control of that. So that's why I like this, because we can lock down the area and provide a safe transport from the vehicle into the building, never walk across the public.
Can you describe for me what you think locked down the area for your product?
Lock down the area in the sense that there is an alley behind there.
Yes, understood.
One of us
But
is
your
in-
truck is in the parking lot,
Yep.
an active parking lot with other customers coming and going.
Yep.
And you heard me talk to the counselor and ask him what else is in that parking lot. You have outdoor patio seating for a restaurant. So now your guys couldn't get delivery at 9 o'clock, and they're making delivery at 11:30. Well, you have a full patio full of people eating their gyros, and you're trying to make delivery of a controlled substance. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
They back the truck up, open the rear doors. They've now got up against the building on this side, up against the fence on that side. We've created a funnel. They walk it through. It's what we do in all my locations, how we do it. Try and find a defensible position and roll it through. Is it ever going to be perfect? No, but through presence, the way we carry ourselves, what we do, being wired, having somebody on the cameras that can immediately tell somebody, hey, you got a couple people walking your way. God can move and intercept. Most of the time, it's not somebody with bad intentions. It's just somebody walking over there, see what's going on. We do it every day, and we do in a lot less optimal circumstances than presented on Highland Avenue.
Are your guards armed?
No, I can't be armed. That's why presence is everything for us.
Okay. One more question, then I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Allen. Help me with your name again. Lynn Credit Union. Maria, come on back up. So Maria, you made a statement about 50% cash machine, ATMs, right?
We're going to encourage to...
Encourage.
Yes.
Are you also going to be accepting debit and credit cards?
Not credit cards, debit cards.
Debit cards only, okay. So...
And we're looking into a cashless ATM.
Got it.
Which, you know, if we're researching a couple of companies and we have some appointments set up.
Okay, but based on what you know now, you're going to have cash dispensers
We're going to have cash.
sitting in the lobby someplace. How are those cash dispensers going to be serviced?
Through a armored car.
Armored car service with weapons coming into the facility. All armored car services carry them.
Well, from my banking experience, that's the way we did it in the bank as well.
Okay.
You know.
Who's going to own the ATM?
I'm not sure, Century Bank most likely, that's who the account is going to be with.
Okay. And Century Bank uses Armored Car Services to service their ATMs. The public's going to be watching this. The public wants to know, how is that transportation of cash going to be handled? Because that dictates their comfort level. Sure, come on up.
If I may, as a preferred client for handling cash for Century, we may be the ones bringing the cash in for the ATM. We will be doing that for third parties, and we may be doing it for ourselves as well.
Okay.
But it's not,
remember, I'm not asking particular questions because I don't want you to give away your security procedures, but.
That's about
okay.
as much as we wouldn't come in we can't come in the building with arms. With
okay.
weapons.
Thank you, Murray. Gentleman behind you. Where is the product coming from?
So we've researched a few cultivation sites, and we've actually visited them. One of them would be Basque Cultivation. We were impressed with their facility, but we have set up some more appointments to do some more tours. Our goal is to carry the best possible product, a product that's safe for our consumers, and something that's attractive to our customers as well.
And you are very familiar with seed to sale procedures.
Yes, yeah, I mean, as familiar as you can be in Massachusetts. We are actively doing it right now in Maine. It's a very similar process. One of the point of sale systems that we are looking at very seriously is very similar to the one I'm currently using now. And part of that is to make it an easy transition from my operations in Maine down here to Massachusetts. But generally, we're trying to use the best possible point of sale system that works with the metric system, which has been put in place by the state.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Allen, want to take over?
Will you have a continuing interest in this, or are you just acting as a consultant to get them up to speed and online?
Continuing, yeah. So, COO is the title. My job will be not only to be the product consultant, but also to help train the staff. I think it's important to do more than just sell someone a product. One of the most beneficial things I think about the recreational or adult use program is that now people are able to buy this product and actually have an idea of what goes into it, if there's any contamination issues. So that's kind of where I come in. I will be able to train the staff to explain these products to our customers, the effects, benefits, possible benefits, those type of things, and really take it a step further of, like I said, just actually handing someone a product, but also explaining to them about this product for a lot of people that really just don't have that information right now.
Following up on your idea of talking about safety and contaminants, have your, here in Massachusetts, we have a legal ban on vape products currently. Have you done anything acting on that at your stores in Maine?
I'm glad you brought that up. One of my companies is very active in the vape business. It's something that we knew was going to happen. If you've read the news, you've read that a large majority of these vape accidents have been from black market companies. Currently, my company at this point buys cartridges from pretty much the same way as everybody else is, China. When we buy those cartridges, before we even fill those cartridges, they are sent with a COA, a Certificate of Authenticity, that also shows that they've been tested for heavy metals. We test them before they come here from China. Once they arrive here, we test them a third party again for heavy metals. After that test has been concluded and the tests have come back as being negative, we then start working on the substance that goes into those vapes. So that substance will need to be tested again for any of the possible contaminants that could hurt somebody. Right now, the big one is going to be the acetate, so a vitamin E acetate. That is a product that's gone in and done a lot of harm to people. Fortunately for us, one of the leading testing facilities in the nation with this epidemic is MCR, which is based out of Massachusetts, and they're able to actually test for vitamin E acetate in these products. So, my knowledge with that particular product as well as the rest of the products is, again, what I feel like kind of gives us kind of a leg up as far as being able to come into this with the understanding of a lot of these things. I make these products, so I know what goes into them. When we go out to these cultivators or manufacturers that we're going to be buying from, I'm able to go there and have an educated idea of what I'm buying, versus, someone that maybe doesn't have as much experience in this, can't read a test result from a lab on certain products, doesn't know, what they're looking at. I've been doing this for 5 years, not only in Maine, but also around the United States. So, I have a vast knowledge of kind of all the steps of that.
Thank you. I'm not sure who this will go to, so I'll throw it up in the air and someone can come up. What is the capacity for the built-out store in terms of number of customers who can be inside simultaneously?
I don't know exactly from a building code analysis what the occupancy would be. The store is roughly 1,500 square feet. That includes basement storage. However, it will be to some extent be limited by the fact that we represented at the community meeting that we would also be, at least initially, on an appointment-only basis.
And yeah, I'm happy to take that lower number of how many people can you simultaneously service via
We have
appointments.
5 point-of-sale, 5 point-of-sale, yeah, Jamie.
So we have 3 registers for our appointments, as well as 2 registers for online. The online registers, we feel, help us as far as not having lines, queues. These are, we will, ask people if they can use the online service so that they can, make an order online, and it makes it a quick and easier transaction when they get to the store.
Sorry, Commissioner Allen, can I interject? You need to go a little slower for me when you talk about by appointment only versus online ordering. Is the online ordering pickup by appointment only as well?
We, as of right now, have talked about being strictly appointment only to start. Yep. And that includes online sales as well as our appointment sales.
Thank you. Sorry, Commissioner. Go ahead.
All right, so we've got 5 POS stations. Their designation may be a little bit up in the air right now. And I just wanted to make sure that that jives with the, at that point you're simultaneously serving between, 6 to 7 customers, assuming people come in as a group or together. I'm checking the numbers to make sure that it matches with the parking estimates and that lot of 6 to 10 vehicles is sufficient and that you're not taking up all the space that the other businesses in that lot would need. But I don't see a problem with it off the top of my head.
I'll just add there that, as far as people coming in with groups, especially at the beginning, it's going to be very important to us that we know exactly who is coming to the appointments. So, and the rest of the group can speak on this as well. As far as I'm concerned, it will be, if there are a group of 2 people, that would be 2 appointments. I don't know that we would be taking 2 people at once as a 1 appointment.
Thank you. Talking about education and outreach, I know one of the big issues that people have had becoming acclimatized to these products is safe use of edibles. How do you deal with the fact that a lot of people have a very hard time with it's not doing anything, it's doing way too much, and they don't believe it until it happens?
It's a great question, and it's, edibles is definitely the worst when it comes to that, as far as, people taking some, it not taking an effect right away, taking more, and then finding out 2 hours later that they're in a full-blown panic attack and don't know what to do about it. Really, what we can do about that is a few things. As the group stated before us, we also have a customer pledge. This is a pledge that will be recited to the customer when they come in the first time they visit with us. A lot of this information will be put on that pledge, just more so explaining to them about not only the effects of the products, storage, laws regarding the products. This industry has come on so fast that, I think a lot of people don't really necessarily know those things. We do because we've looked into them. As far as the edibles, it comes down to packaging. It's important that we stay on the packaging exactly, how to use that product, the cautions of using that product. And, that's something that we can lay out on there. My products currently, kind of have like a list, a few sentences of how to use the product. Start very small. Understand that it takes an hour to take effect sometimes. These are things that we're definitely going to do to make sure that our clients know the effects and the risks of taking these products. And that's also going to be something that will be included in the first-time visit as well.
And our employees will be trained to go through the packaging with them, read it to them, so that they know what they are taking. Yeah.
And like a farmer. What a pharmacist does when you pick up a prescription.
Correct, and again, that goes along with what we were saying with, taking it a step further with our clients and not just selling them something and shooting them out the door, but actually explaining that product in length about how it's going to affect them, the possible uses, and so on.
Any plans for collaborative efforts with Red Bones? Carry-out orders that pair well with it?
Yep, sure. Yeah, we'd like to do a lot of tie-ins with the community businesses. I think there's an app that we're looking into. I forget the name at the moment, but it's for people that are waiting. We can direct them. We can, work with the businesses to offer discounts to their store. Red Bones would certainly offer a discount because they're going to be possibly new customers or people coming into Davis Square that haven't been there before, or even people that have been might want to go to one of the neighboring businesses with a discount and wait while their appointment is coming up. And then this app allows us to text them, get them a text to let them know, in 15 minutes your appointment is coming, So yes, we would try to tie in with the community and all that. And also, we'd like to work with the community.
Mr. Gregory, I think you have that backwards. I think they need to get product first and then eat.
We're hoping that happens as well.
Not that I would know, but I think, anecdotally, that's the way it works.
Well, maybe they can do a little shopping beforehand, and yeah, hopefully that works. Hopefully everybody will benefit from the business that we bring in. That's the idea. Also, we'd like to be develop some type of task force with the other recreational marijuana businesses that open in Somerville and bring the community members in, the police, fire department, the city, but a place where we can all talk about the problems, if there are any solutions, that type of thing. And I'm going to make sure that we suggest this and try to get something going at least on a monthly basis. I'd like to chair it, in the beginning as well, just to make sure that everything gets out on the table.
Thank you. And I do think the idea of a virtual queue app is very smart. The idea of 20 people waiting out front is seen as a problem. The idea of 20 people walking around the business district spending money,
That would be nice.
not a problem.
I'd just like to add to that we feel that the point that Rob just alluded to, I think, is probably the biggest strength of this application, including, of course, the experience of the team that's been assembled. But as you know, Rob not only lives in Davis Square, but he works there every day. And if there are problems that come up, we think that Rob really epitomizes the Group A applicant, Somerville resident, who is hands-on, community liaison. If issues come up, you're not calling a corporation in Colorado or California. You're calling Rob Gregory, who lives a couple hundred yards from the business, and who's there every single day to basically problem solve and to make sure that as issues come up, they get resolved. I think this is what really makes this a very strong application.
No further questions from me.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, so I have some discrepancies here, and I need to hopefully work with the applicant while you're right in front of me with your counsel. So what are the hours of operation, and why aren't they listed?
10 to 8. And I don't know why
10 to
they're
8,
not.
Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
10 to 10, Friday, Saturday.
And Sunday was 12 to 5
on Sunday.
I don't know why they're not listed, I'm sorry.
Okay, so if we could have somebody get back into Citizen Serve and update the application, because I don't approve anything without knowing what the hours of operation are. Got it. This is why Lori whispers to me. So once that application has been submitted, you no longer have edit privileges. She has to go back in and make the change. So if you could, make sure that email, when there's a few more things, has the hours of operation when you send it into her, and she'll change on the application. And what did you say Sundays were? 12 to 5. Okay. We still do not have a signed host agreement.
I believe that was forwarded to Alex Mello, but I will check if it has not. I thought it had been forwarded to Alex Mello, who's actually not with the city any longer, but if it has not been, I will see to it that you get that by tomorrow.
Correct. Let me just ask Sarah to verify. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, Counselor, because I did check in with Mr. Proakis this morning, and we do not have a signed agreement back. Okay. Okay. When do you anticipate opening the door, Mr. Gregory?
You know, we don't know exactly how it's going to go with, you know, of course we have ZBA and then we have CCC and all that. But if things went smoothly, it's conceivable within 6 months, it's possible that we could open the door.
With 1,500 square feet, I mean, that's not a huge build-out.
That's not a huge build-out.
And let me go back to the location again. This is where pigs fly?
Yes.
Is it just that 1,500 square foot storefront, or are you taking all three?
All three.
You're taking all three of them?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And what businesses are being displaced out of that?
None at this time. I think there was Maximum Hash was a skateboard shop, I think, at one time in there. Yeah, and then there was the Pigs Fly, and there was the Cupcake Place at one time, but no businesses are being displaced.
Those are currently vacant.
That's
Thank
correct.
you. Okay. So, Mr. Gregory, let me ask you a question directly as the applicant here. What is the need for recreational marijuana in Somerville?
Well, I think the need is to make marijuana legal so that it can be tested, so it can be safe and available to the public in a tested, safe format and taxable, going directly to the city. Otherwise, it's going to just be continue to be a need in Somerville, but just operating on the black market as it has been for many years. So I think
Did you practice that answer?
No, I didn't. It seems logical to me that it should happen.
And I do see in your application where you make a very hard statement, and I like this statement. You're there to improve the public's understanding of the health consequences of cannabis consumption.
Absolutely.
How do you propose to do that with the new entity?
Well, we'll be involved with education in the community. We'll work with, you know, the PTA groups, the prevention groups, and as I said before, make sure that all these groups are invited and can be present at our monthly, you know, task force or whatever. But you know, through pamphlets, just general educating. And that's also, you know, educating is marketing for us as well. So it's a great way to market and promote our business through educating the public.
And speaking of marketing, everyone understands that you have very strict guidelines
Absolutely.
on how you market the product, how you advertise it to the public, what kind of signage is outside of the vans shouldn't have any signage, your packaging that's being transported.
We'll follow all the guidelines, yep.
So one thing I do have a concern about, Mr. Gregory, is the fact that you'll be transporting the product through a parking lot with patrons of another restaurant. That gives me pause. Help me understand how you're going to avert any issues with the patrons of that other restaurant, because you don't control it, they do.
Yeah, we don't control that. You know, I mean, it's pretty discreetly done. Scott's been, you know, working at Revolution Clinics, as you may know that, in Somerville, and you know, I've seen how it's done. They move in and out, and it's pretty discreet. It's not, you know, big movement of product or, You know, these are small amounts that we're getting on a daily basis. So, you know, I don't think it's very obvious to many people, to the public. I think it'll pretty much go unnoticed for the most part. That's
Okay.
That's all I can say to that.
If I could just add to...
Sure. We're going to get to the public comment part of this real quick.
Yeah.
Okay?
If I just wanted to add that, you know, really only need to have one delivery possible a day, period. I mean, and we may not be getting deliveries daily. So I think that what we'll do, we will try our best to do these deliveries before the restaurant opens, which, you know, would help us not kind of intermingle with, you know, the people that are eating outside.
Counselor, there are no schools, correct? You did your due diligence in looking for what you are prohibited? Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Good. All right. Okay, if your team is all set, I'm going to open it up to the public. All set. So on the matter of Northeast Select Harvest Corps, are there any members of the public who wish to be heard? Welcome. State your name for the record.
I'm Nick Sarantopoulos.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Nicholas Sarantopoulos.
Thank you, Nicholas.
So I'm a resident of Somerville, and also I work as the president and CEO of the Community Credit Union. So we are tenants of Mr. Poutahidis, who's the landlord, and he's also the owner of the building where this business is proposed to be. So Mr. Poutahidis invited me to speak about him, and I would like to speak about, I know nothing about marijuana or this business. I am here to speak about Mr. Poutahidis, who's an excellent landlord. He keeps the area safe, everything in very good shape, and he's a person of the highest integrity, and I believe that he's also a partner in this business to a degree. That's all, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other members of the public wish to be heard? Welcome.
Thank you. My name is George Dardonis. I'm the sole owner of Davis Square Donuts and Bagels. And I just want to say that I'm fully on board with this business. I think it's great for the community and Mr. Poutahidis, and great landlord, and hope this goes through.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public? Okay, Lieutenant McLaughlin, anything?
I guess the same would apply here with plans, the building itself, security, not security, the safety, fire alarm systems. Putting the product aside, we have access to the building at any time. Pretty much the same thing that with the other. So we could sit down and talk as the planning process goes through.
Sergeant Shaley.
Yeah, the same, no comments on this.
Okay. Up to us, Commissioner Allen.
The only, I think, appreciable difference is the discussion of online ordering and then pick up and carry out versus the traditional show up, what do I want, let's talk about it experience. And I'm not opposed to having required appointments, but I don't, at the same time, I think there's something to be said for allowing the increased throughput of people who know what they want, being able to order and being able to pick up. So my only thought would be that if we pass any strictures on by appointment only, it makes sure that is by appointment only for pickup or a consultation session as it is.
Okay.
And I still think 6 months is excessive, but I'm willing to go with 6 months with the caveat of, given how it looks on the ground.
That's the right answer, Commissioner.
Given how it looks on the ground, if it feels like that those can comfortably be lifted, I would be strongly encouraging the applicant to come forward and reassess.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, Counselor, want to come back up? So, hours of operation, fully executed host agreement. And what's the tie-in with the donuts again? I missed that part. Is there a tie-in with the donuts?
Tenant of the landlord.
I'm willing to move this, but I need your okay, that you're going to be okay with it by appointment only. By appointment only means for pickup as well.
Same,
So-
I apologize.
6 months after the issuance by the Somerville Licensing Commission of that license.
That's
So
fine.
it's not going to happen until after you go through the hurdles of planning and zoning and the CCC and everybody else. Your meeting with Councilor Davis, approximately how many people attended that public meeting?
20, 25 maybe?
Okay. And from what you could gauge, any vehement opposition?
No, I think, no vehement opposition. I think most of the discussion was about parking. And I think there was they were happy to hear that because this is really a neighborhood dispensary, as Mr. Siragusa represented, he thinks that the bulk of the business, probably as much as 75%, will be pedestrians frequenting from the neighborhood or public transportation and not using cars, and then encouraging employees to use off-site, not have a car at all, but if they do have a car, to park off-site and I think we also represented we were going to promote T-passes for employees. All in an attempt to try to make sure that the 8 or 10 spaces there that service not only these 3 storefronts, but the entire block of stores, that the customers will have the opportunity to use that, those spaces and not the employees. But no, I would say that was the bulk of the discussion, but no adamant opposition. I think an appreciation for the fact that Mr. Gregory, as an operator, is a known quantity, having operated a business there for several decades. I think that the neighborhood felt comfortable with that.
Let me just make one suggestion. The prior applicant had talked about having a community liaison. And I think knowing Mr. Gregory all these years, there is probably no better community liaison than Mr. Gregory.
I agree.
So I would say keep the channels open to the neighbors that surround you, both business and residents.
Absolutely.
So, Commissioner Allen, anything else before we move on this?
No further.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to approve with conditions. We need the fully executed host agreement. We need the hours of operation, and I would guide you that it has always been my inclination never to issue licenses prior to 10 a.m. on Sunday.
We're proposing 12 to 5, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Also move that we have a condition that this is by appointment only, both for pickup and on-site consultation for 6 months after the issuance of the license from the Somerville Licensing Commission. Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a 2-minute break, if you don't mind. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
The agreement? I didn't, what am I supposed to sign it?
No. I got your copy.
I guess we can insert a place where like a lot of it is not open to customers.
Okay, back in session. Commissioner Allen, item number 7, item number 6 and item number 7.
Move that we continue these to the end of the meeting. Make a motion that we continue these to the end of the evening.
Thank you very much. I second the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Item number 8 is a special farmer winery license. Daniel Clapp, DBA, 1634 Meadery, 3 Short Street, Ipswich, Mass. Requesting approval of a special farmer winery license to sell mead produced by the licensee for off-premises consumption at the Somerville Winters Farmers Market to be held at the Armory, Arts at the Armory, 191 Highland Ave on Saturdays, December 14th and 21st, January 18th, February 15th, March 21st, March 11th, from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Max Sorger. I'm here speaking on behalf of Dan Clapp, who had to unexpectedly leave town for a family emergency.
And Max, what is your relationship to 1634 Meadery?
I'm an employee there, a delivery driver and bartender.
Okay, and you're going to be doing the farmer's market this winter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're tip certified?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you'll be doing the pouring yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody else in all these dates that are going to be up there?
Along with me, I'm not sure yet. We haven't worked it out.
Okay. But you do understand anybody who's doing the pouring has to be tip certified?
Absolutely. They always are.
Okay. How long have you been in business?
We're going on 5 years in April.
Any other farmers markets that you do?
We do a whole bunch, more than I could even come up with off the top of my head. We do
10?
Lexington, upwards of, I would say upwards of 15.
Got it.
Different ones.
Commissioner?
No questions.
Anybody? Okay. All set, Max? Yep. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Well, I'm sorry. Any members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Item number 9, Jonathan Carr, DBA Carr's Cider House, 295 River Drive, Hadley, requesting approval of the special farmer winery license to sell hard cider produced by the licensee off-premises consumption for the Somerville Winters Farmer Market to be held at the Armory, 191 Highland Ave, Saturdays, December 14th, January 4th, February 1st, 15, 29, March 14, 28, and April 11th, 2020, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Leah Ruscio. I'm from Arts at the Armory. We are the market manager for the Somerville Winter Farmers Market and are here tonight representing Carr's Cider House. They were not able to make the trek out.
Leah, you've been in front of us many times before.
Once or twice.
Once or twice. This is the first year that the Armory is going to be managing the actual Winters Farmer Market.
As the sole manager, the last 2 seasons we've managed in cooperation with Groundwork Somerville. This year we are the sole manager of the market, but we have hosted for many years before that.
Okay. So you know the drill. All of these guys that are coming in know they have to be tip certified.
Yes.
21 and over.
Yes, all of the alcohol vendors, including Carr's, are returning vendors. They have gone through this process before. They've been there many years and are well aware of the requirements.
Okay. Commissioner?
No questions.
Okay. Leah, just for my own information, on any one of these dates, any one of these Saturdays, how many people churn through for the farmers markets?
Depending on the weather and the time of the season, it can be anywhere from 600 to 1,500.
Okay. Sudden Shelley, anything on this in the years gone by? Because of the way that it's scattered. Yeah, okay. They pretty much run the entire hours that you're open for this, right? So the crowd could ebb and flow.
Yes, we tend to see a larger crowd right as doors open. The regulars walking in the door, ebbs a little bit till lunchtime, picks up again a little bit. It's fairly well dispersed through the period.
Okay.
I would ask the commission, it appears that Carr's in their application got the times wrong. They gave you the summer market times instead of the winter market times. So if it would be possible to amend that to become 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m.,
You're replicating the one for the 1634 meadery?
The same times as 1634 and as Far From the Tree.
Got it. Do we have any issues with that?
I will check with the farmer's authorization, and if there's no problems with the application, no problem.
Okay.
I'll let you know if there's an issue.
Okay. The other error that they appear to have made, we have offered them January 18th as well, a total of 9 dates, and they have only listed 8 dates on the application. If that's something possible to add, at least as I see on the agenda, I'm only seeing 8 dates.
Okay. Lori, can you work with Leah on those? Okay. I see no reason not to just adjust these, I mean.
Otherwise, everything is correct and good, yes.
Okay. Anything else? No?
You said January 19th?
I believe the 18th. I should
18th.
look on my calendar.
Okay.
I may be confusing that with today's date.
18th would be the correct one, I believe, because that would be the Saturday.
Saturday.
It would be then, yes, 18th.
Okay.
And just, I guess, out of curiosity, because you as the managing grouper here, do you stagger the cider places to make sure that you don't have 3 at one time, or is it just coincidental based on their availability?
So we have 1 that's there every week and 2 that alternate. So on any given week, if you were to walk in, there would be maximum 2 alcohol vendors there, typically 1 on the main floor and 1 in the upstairs balcony.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any members of the public wish to be heard on the application? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 10, Far From the Tree. Far From Tree, 102 Jackson Street, Salem, Mass., requesting approval of a special farmer winery license to sell hard cider produced at a licensee off-premises consumption for the Somerville Winters Farmer Market, be held at the Armory, 191 Highland Ave, Saturdays weekly from December 4th through April 4th, 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it's every Saturday?
There would be, there would need to be amended. We're every other week. I'm not sure why. I might have typed it in wrong, but we are alternating weeks. The weeks that Carr is not present, we are. That's
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to work with the clerk on that one so that we have the exact Saturdays that you're going to be up there.
Yeah, we'll
Okay?
start. We start on. I know the first week that will be there is December 7th, and then every week beyond that. So I apologize for that.
Okay. Tip certified?
Yes, myself, I'm, for the record, Nathaniel Sisson. I'm the events coordinator for Far From the Tree. Myself and I have 3 brand ambassadors we would rotate through, all tip certified, all have been through many farmers markets in the past, very familiar with, at this one as well, previous years.
How many years you been in business on this?
Far From the Tree itself has been in business since 2013, started at farmers markets and expanded from there, so.
How many years coming back to Somerville?
I personally don't know how many years we've been doing this market, as far as I know from the beginning, but longer than I have been with the company.
Excellent, because now you're doing the best farmers market.
This was my first one that I came to at the Armory, that I was with the company, so.
Commissioner Allen?
No questions.
Anybody? Good? Any members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Good luck. Item number 11, Mapu Entertainment, 1 Marina Park Drive, Suite 1410, Boston. Approval of a special alcohol license for the purpose of dispensing, selling for Griot Fest to be held outdoors at Sylvester Baxter Riverfront Park. Is the applicant present? Move to the end of the agenda. Item number 12, St. Anthony of Padua Parish, 12 Perpetuity Way, special alcohol license for the purpose of dispensing, selling beverages for a New Year's Eve party to be held indoors at St. Anthony Church Hall, 12 Perpetuity Way on Tuesday, December 31st, from 7 to 12 a.m. with a rain date of 1/4. Welcome. State your name
Commissioner
for the
Luis
record.
Castro, representing St. Antonio Padua, Somerville.
This is the annual event?
Yes.
How many years now?
As far as I recall, is at least for 10 to 12 years.
That's what I thought. Okay. And where is the liquor coming from? You using a caterer?
They have a server, and I think they buy in bulk.
From a wholesaler?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so they'll Whoever is serving the alcohol has to be tip certified. You got,
Yes.
right, 21, okay. How many people do you think you're going to have?
We're expecting around 360 to 400 people. Usually it's 400, but the way that the tables are being served last year was a kind of not too comfortable. We are thinking about putting only 360, period, no more than that.
Okay.
Are you going to be hiring the detail?
Every year, for New Year's, they have the police, Somerville involved. Yeah.
Okay. If you could work with Sergeant Chaley on that.
Exactly, because they have the people who controls the parking lot, but they have the detail for every party that we do over there.
Okay. Sorry, Commissioner Allen.
Point of clarification, I guess. It states that the event's going to be held indoors, but you've also specified a rain date?
It's because the parking is huge, but people have to step out and walk. We have like different parking lots. We have up front, we have in the back. So I don't know why they say rain date. The community likes to have the New Year's event, and Saturday will be the next available if it is raining or something. And as a Brazilian community, we really celebrate the New Year's night. And if cannot be held on that night, Tuesday, definitely on the next available date.
Sounds reasonable.
Commissioner Allen, we could have a snow date if that makes you happier. I mean,
oh, right. Okay.
I know why they asked for rain date, because that's in the application.
All right.
Okay. Anybody else? Any members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Have a
much.
great event. I hope it doesn't snow.
Oh, thank you.
Item number 13, Brooklyn Boulders, 12A Tyler Street, Broadway. I don't understand what this means.
Copy and paste it all.
Brooklyn Boulders, 12A Tyler Street, requesting approval of a special alcohol license for the purpose of dispensing and selling alcoholic beverages for the Lizzie Strong benefit to support Lizzie's journey to healing, to be held indoors at Brooklyn Boulders, 12A Tyler Street on December 7th, from 4 to 7. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Hi, my name's Alexis Anderson.
This is a benefit
Yes, it is.
at Brooklyn.
Mhm.
And who's doing the alcohol?
So it'll be who they usually use, Sierra Nevada Catering Company.
And how many folks, Alexis, do you think you're going to have?
It might have anywhere from like 30 to 60. It'll be fairly small.
Okay. It's an approved vendor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner Allen?
No questions.
Anybody? Okay. Any members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Have a good event. Item number 14, JP Licks at Assembly Row, DBA JP Licks, 611 Assembly Row, Paul Johnston, requesting a change of manager and a change of hours. The proposed hours are Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday, 7 a.m. to 12, Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 12. Current hours are Sunday through Saturday, 8 to 12. So in some instances, you're reducing, in others, you're expanding.
That's correct.
Change of manager from Megan Lynch, no relation, to Lourdes Arroyo,
That's correct.
and a change of hours. Okay. Okay, sorry, welcome, state your name for the record.
Tom Army.
And Tom, are you the manager of record at JP Licks? No.
I am a district manager for
District
JP Lynch,
manager,
yes.
okay. And just a little bit about the change of hours?
Sure. Well, we have decided some of our competition opens up at 7 a.m., and we want to capture that early morning coffee sales that we have been hearing from our regular customers that we're missing. So we want to open up Monday through Friday at 7 as opposed to
I don't know,
8.
Tom, if you were serving ice cream at 7, I'd be there.
Well, we do, if you want, or maybe an affogato with espresso on top of your ice cream.
There you go. Okay, Lourdes Arroyo,
Yes.
with the company for a while, or a
Yeah,
new
she's been
hire?
with the company for 8 to 10 years, actually.
Okay.
Moving from one location to the Somerville location.
Okay, Commissioner Allen.
No questions.
Anybody? Nothing? Any members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience tonight, everybody. This is item number 15 on the agenda. The existing alcohol license is a city-side license, all forms 7-day restaurant. Requesting entertainment by performers. This is in the enhancement area. Rincon Mexicano, Inc., DBA Rincon Mexicano, 99 Broadway, requesting approval for an entertainment by performers license. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Lorenzo Reyes.
Lawrence.
Lorenzo Reyes.
And tell me a little bit about what the patrons are going to be performing.
I thinking to put like a mariachi once a week and to start it, and then in the future, if all the customers, they love it to hear mariachi, and at the same time have a margarita and a food with tacos, and then we just move over for 2 days or whatever. But in the meantime, we just started for 1 day a week and see how they doing.
And what are the days that you're proposing to have this?
I'm not sure right now. I need to speak with the mariachi. Sometimes depends because since it's gonna be every week, we need to talk to them what days they have available and see what they're gonna choose.
Are you anticipating that you do this 7 nights a week?
Not really.
You're going to try to do it when the most of the patrons are there? Friday, Saturday? Is that what you're thinking?
I'm thinking on Friday, but I'm not sure about the mariachi. Sometimes they have it already, like they play on different restaurants, and I need to check with them. Like with couple of groups to see what they have available, and see if I like to be on Fridays, like on nighttime around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that.
Can you tell me where 99 Broadway is in Somerville? Is it way down by Sullivan Square?
Sullivan Square, yeah.
And you're on the right-hand side as I'm going into Boston?
Yes, if I come
Left
from
side?
Sullivan, I'm on the right side.
Laurie, is it customary, I'm sorry, 1 second. Is it customary for us to give entertainment by performers licenses when the hours are specified?
When a person fills out a new application, the hours are right on the application. When they fill out an amendment, not so much. That's something I can address with city clerk and ask him to put the hours and days in if you like.
No, it's just, if we approve this without any hours, you're giving a blanket entertainment by performers.
If you choose to put hours in, I can make the license appear for what you approve it.
Okay.
But I think this is something that perhaps might need to be addressed for future reference for days and hours of entertainment.
Right. Commissioner Allen, help me here.
I'm not super worried about excessive mariachi band performances. I mean, if we have to issue it as a carte blanche because they're not going to be set dates, I'm not seeing an issue with that. And if we have problems, I'm happy to go back and rectify them later. We've exercised a lot of due diligence in a lot of things today. I don't know if this merits quite so much.
You got a friend in the commissioner here.
Thank
you. Okay. All right. I hear what you're saying. I think we need to do that, though. When they amend the license, it needs to have the hours of operation of what they're trying to
So
go for.
what do you want the license to say if and when the commission?
What are his hours of operation right now? Do we know? Why don't we just keep it with his hours of operation? He's got a common victular and in all forms?
Yep.
So we'll keep it to the hours of the common victular and the all forms. How late are you open now?
Right now, depends. Sometimes we close like 11, 12, 10, depends how it's, but I got the license until 1 o'clock.
Right. So your license says 1 o'clock. Okay. All right, let's do this. Why don't we do this? We're gonna give you the license based on your current license, the hours of operation. Okay? If we have to, we may have to ask you to come back in, all right, and amend that by performers. It won't affect your hours of operation for serving food and serving alcohol. Right? Okay. Does that sound good?
Good.
Everybody okay with that? All right. Any members?
His hours are Sunday through Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 1 a.m.
To 1 a.m. All right. Any members of the public wish to be heard? State your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Jen Atwood. I'm the director of East Somerville Main Street. On behalf of myself and my board, I'd like to state that East Somerville Main Street supports Lorenzo's application for live entertainment at Rincon Mexicano. Ward 1 City Councilor Matt McLaughlin also supports this application. The reasons being that last year, East Somerville conducted a survey that asked people what they would like to see in terms of programming in the community, and the number one answer was live music. Number two answer was more programming that highlights our community's diverse population. This application meets both of those two priorities that the community identified as needs. East Somerville also supports this application because Lorenzo's business needs to stay competitive with other businesses, and this might help attract new customers and a different demographic to his business. And finally, Lorenzo's a great partner with us. He's very much loved by the community. Last month, he did a workshop at the local library where he came and brought food, and we talked about food and culture, which was really great local partnership with this business. And we just like to say that we support his plans to improve upon his already well-loved and well-run establishment. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jen. Thank you, Jen. When are you going to start?
Possible.
Commissioner, anything?
Nothing?
Yep. Lieutenant McLaughlin.
The mariachi band, they typically freestanding, meaning they don't have any amplifiers or electronic speakers or anything. That's what you're going to have on site?
No, it's just they have it like the guitar and the trumpet. And
That's it, they just play their music from them?
Yeah, just play music. There's no amplifier, nothing.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Best
Thank
wishes.
you very much. Good night.
Item number 17. This is for Federal Wine and Spirits out of Belmont. They have continued the case to January of 2020 at the applicant's request. Item number 18, Bosfam LLC, DBA Manoa Poke Shop, 300 Beacon Street. No. Current license, we're at number 18. Yeah. No, we asked to take Pepsico's out of order, and you weren't here. I want to see you because it looks like Bosfam is not here. So hold on one second. Bosfam? No? Okay. At the chair's discretion, I'm going to take item 16. 16 was called earlier at my request. That's okay? Okay, item number 16, PepsiCo Group, Inc., DBA La Posada Restaurant, 505 Medford Street, requesting approval for an entertainment by patrons and performers, 2 a.m. closing license and a change of hours. the change of hours and the serving of the food and serving of alcohol, but this basically is you're petitioning for an entertainment by patrons and performers and a 2 a.m. closing.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. If you could state your name for the record, please.
It's Joe Posada.
And Joe, how long have you been in business now?
It's gonna be 6 years in February.
At the location?
Not in the same location. We were a little bit down the street. We started on a takeout spot, very small, at that 513B Medford Street. And then the Brazilian buffet that was where my location is now closed down, and we took over moving the restaurant just a little bit down the street to be able to offer dine-in. And we started a process for a liquor license that was approved last November. And
So you've had an active liquor license for a year?
For a year, yes.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about the entertainment by patrons and performers?
I would like to have live music available certain nights of the week. That's something that customers bring up very often, and in Latin American restaurants is very common. So people are expecting to see some kind of entertainment very often. And that will be for live music, and also depending on, there is people that have requested private parties where they will rent the whole space, and they wanted to also be able to rearrange the place to be able to have some dancing available. And I noticed that there was I checked and there's a license that needs to be applied, and that's why it's included there too.
Okay, I'm going to ask both Lieutenant McLaughlin and Sergeant Shaley to ask you a couple of questions, because if you didn't notice, our ears perked up when you said you were going to be moving furniture around and having dancing. So, Lieutenant McLaughlin.
When you say private parties, is that during business hours or after hours? Or?
It will be during business hours.
All right, and you're going to be moving furniture for dancing?
Yeah.
All right. Do you propose your entertainment devices will be electric, meaning tied into a speaker system?
We have an audio system, and that's what will be used.
All right. Just be advised that that would have to be brought to the inspectional services to alter the movement of the seats, and also to my office for any type of live music that if the fire alarm goes off, the music has to shut down.
All right.
So you'd have to approach both inspectional services and the fire prevention office.
So I gotta do a special application, or do I gotta present?
That would be bringing your plans to both offices for approval.
All right. Can you repeat which offices so I can reach out to you?
Inspectional services.
Okay.
Building department. And the fire prevention office.
Fire. Yeah.
Sergeant Shaley.
My question is more to the board. With the change of floor plan for fixed tables, I don't believe that they've done that in the past to change the floor plan for a dance floor. So
That's why I threw it right over to you and Lieutenant McLaughlin. I had never heard of it either.
That would be more for through inspectional services.
Yeah, that's so, yeah, okay, through inspectional services, because we've had that in the past, where places have moved the tables, and it was actually a violation, so.
Right. So for the benefit of the public who may be watching this too, is that when restaurants are licensed by this commission, they have to go through a series of departments, and what has to be approved is the seating arrangement. The seating where the tables are located basically for public safety, so that they don't block fire exits and they don't block handicap accessibility. So that's why both gentlemen are saying you have to get approved for those plans. Okay. I'm being notified by the clerk that we may also have to notify the ABCC that you're going for. I've seen it before, Joe, where they call it a floating floor plan. You submit that and you say, in the event that I have entertainment in the place, or I have a private party that's having entertainment, here's where the tables go.
Got it.
I mean, we have seen temporary like that, but you have to get approval to do that.
All right, so I'll reach out to both of your offices with a plan of how those things.
It would be morphed through inspectional services, which you would bring in as a current seating plan and a proposed plan when you move the table.
When I move them. Got it.
Correct.
Okay. Lori's going to also check with the ABCC for you, all right? So if you can get in touch with her, give her a couple of days, and she'll shoot off an email to them.
Sounds great. I'll reach out to you. And is there a problem with us also extending our hours till 2 a.m. With food?
Just going to get to it.
All right.
Just going to get to it. Under the policies and procedures of the commission, you've been open for a year. Okay. Sergeant Shelley, any problems with La Posada?
No, they haven't had any issues at this point.
Okay. Remember, 2 a.m. is a privilege in this city. It is not mandated by law. So if you get in trouble with that closing at 2 a.m., we're going to ask you to come back up. And the remedies that we have are amending or rescinding. Commissioner Allen.
No issues at the 2 a.m.
Okay. All right. All set? Lori? Okay. Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Sorry.
I-
Sorry. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard on the application? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes, they're always conditioned. Yep. They'll be conditioned based on the sign-off from ISD and from the fire department.
All right, but is our license approved till 2 a.m.?
Yes, that's separate from the
That's
entertainment.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes.
So the entertainment is pending until I take care of these things. Got it.
Okay. What's missing here? Just me?
Yes,
Aye.
you have not, there you go.
Aye.
Thank
you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Back to the regular order of business. My apologies. BuzzFam, that goes to the end of the agenda. If they appear, we took legal seafood. Item number 20, NLP 280 Elm Street, Davis Square, LLC, DBA Oath Craft Pizza, 278 Elm Street, requesting approval for a change in hours for food service only. The current hours are Sunday through Saturday, 8 to 11. Proposed hours for food service only, Sunday through Saturday, 8 to 1. Welcome. State your name for the record.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Rashi Manglik with Victor McQuilty and Miller, representing the licensee, Oath Pizza. We are here. This is Peter Croto. Sorry about that. He's corporate representative for the applicant, and we're seeking approval for a change of hours for the closing hour. Of course, for food sales only. Beer and wine would still stop at 11 p.m., but food sales would go until 1 a.m. And the applicant has seen that there has been customer demand for this. There's other businesses in the area that they've seen customers want this business operation, and it's been part of their business plan from the get-go. Further, the beer and wine that they do have are on tap, so it'd be very easy to just shut those down. There's no need to move any alcohol or lock it up in any way. And we'd be happy to take questions.
Commissioner Allen? Very good.
No questions.
Rashi, 1 second. So they were only doing it for food service, though.
Because they can't serve alcohol beyond 11.
Wine and malt license. Because it's a wine and malt license.
Yeah, so this is fine.
Yeah, so just a heads up, we did do an extension for Lucky Strike to be open
That's
to
right.
beyond hours for entertainment and food, but not alcohol, because
That's
they
right.
weren't open up for a year.
That's right. Thank you very much. Okay. All set? Do you want to say anything? You got a great representative there. Anybody? Okay. Any members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about the wait.
That's okay.
Rashi seems to pick the night where we have 2,000 agenda items.
It's okay, don't worry, we have the license, that's what I'm happy about.
Thank you.
Best wishes. Thank you very much. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. Item number 21, Taco Party LLC. 711 Broadway, requesting a new enhancement area, 7-day, all forms and outdoor patio, public property license. The hours of operation of the food service, indoors, outdoors, alcohol service, indoors, outdoors. You already have a CV and entertainment by devices license.
Yes, correct.
Welcome. State your name for the record.
My name is Keith Schubert. I'm the owner of Taco Party.
Okay, Keith, one thing that pops out at me here, what is the public property? This is just sidewalk, right?
Yeah, actually, we're not planning on serving alcohol out there. That was amended in the online application by Andrea, after she had asked me about that, and I stated that we're not interested in having alcohol out there.
So it is your intention for us to delete that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's only 2 seats, so.
Yeah. All right, so Laurie, we're just going to double check on Citizen Serve that that's not in there, right? Okay, new liquor license. All right, so we're deleting outdoor patio, public property.
Yes.
Yeah. Hours of operation. Okay. Keith, how long have you been open down there?
We opened the store in 2015, and we were just a food truck prior to that.
Got it. That's why I remember the name. Okay.
They were approved previously, you were approved previously for now?
Yeah, so, yeah, when we first opened, I applied, went through the whole process, got to the very end when I believe it was the plumbing inspector came in, realized we didn't have a public restroom, and that was that. So.
Very graciously surrendered his license, and now he's applying for.
Yeah, so now,
I would give a little background.
yeah, what's happening is we're taking over the storefront next to us, which will have bathrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Allen?
No questions.
Anybody? No? All set? Any members of the public who wish to be heard? Seeing none, make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Keith.
Thank
Good
you very
luck
much.
down there.
Thank you.
What is pending here?
Public patio, we're not doing at all.
Correct.
It's not been changed.
Correct.
We'll make the change.
Gentlemen, what item number are we waiting on? Number 7. All right, so we have 2 items, number 6 and number 7, that we moved to the end of the agenda only because there were members of the public here with their applications. So you're welcome to come a little further, so we don't have to yell. Commissioner Allen is going to take, Commissioner, I would make a recommendation that you take item number 7 first, because I assume that's what, I assume these gentlemen are here to make comment on number 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And picking up where we'd left off, this was the original version, which was the draft provided to us by Alex Mello. The keynotes there were that it's his analysis and my analysis both came to the same conclusion, that the CMR and CCC regulations cover everything in exceedingly thorough detail. There wasn't a lot of need for us to double up on it. So it was relatively minimal in terms of it set hours of operation for the city. It had additional language on what it constitutes to have a owning control of a company, discussing, because at that point in time there was a lot of stuff in the news about controlling interests or contractual agreements where a company was basically making all of the decisions when they did not show up on the corporate ownership documents. And those were the only 2 large points. And I think, I cannot remember why we did not vote on it at the time, however.
I think this is one of the items that we wanted full participation by all three commissioners. And it may have been one of those meetings where Commissioner McKenna was not in attendance.
That would make sense, yeah. So you also had some interesting points on, you wanted to make sure that we had the language correct for marijuana versus cannabis.
I did, and that's something that I still intend on sending into the city solicitor's office. There was an interesting article that I read where in the very early days of cannabis/marijuana, marijuana was used in a very pejorative way, in that when they started making the films about reefer madness, and it was always using the Hispanic name marijuana instead of its medical name or its Latin term, cannabis. So over the years, we as a culture have used the term interchangeably. But it's interesting that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts uses the term Cannabis Control Commission. They also use the term marijuana when they talk about their licenses. So I think it's worth having a discussion, and if there are members of the public that want to join in on us, when we refer to the product is really what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And if it's not a discussion that the commission doesn't want to have, we can close it out. But I think it's something that we might want to advertise to the public and say, is there a way that we can be a little bit more sensitive when we use that terminology? I mean, I've been confused that the CCC uses cannabis in one term, and then they talk about their marijuana policies in another. So I just think for consistency's sake and maybe being a little sensitive, maybe we open up that conversation as part of the policies and procedures. Because we're not bound to call it marijuana.
No, we do have the city's regulation on it, though, which is covering adult use marijuana.
Right. We can get them to change it.
Fair enough. Yeah. So at that point, our action items, I guess, are just if we want to, in the standing rules, use marijuana or cannabis. And I think other than that, we were happy with the subject matter.
Yeah, I think policies and procedures, this is brand new for the city. It's brand new for us. We're constantly learning and absorbing information from other municipalities and other entities that even the CCC is changing some of their rules and regulations as they move on. So I think it's got to be a fluid document. I think it's more of a guideline for us as commissioners now, for future commissioners coming down the road, but anything can be changed. What I also intended to do was to open it up to the public for comment. Yep. So what I'd like to do is to have some kind of something in draft form, have the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development open that up to the public for comment.
Absolutely, I think that sounds good.
All right.
And we can use as that the draft provided by Alex Mello with that one additional control bullet point that
right. So I'm not intending on taking any action on it tonight, and we don't meet in December, but I'd like it, if possible, to be one of the first action items in January.
We've kicked the can down the road on this.
We have.
A lot.
And hopefully Commissioner McKenna will be back with us in January and we can all have a robust discussion on this.
Yeah.
So I know that you've been here for a while, so I'm going to let you weigh in on what you saw tonight. How's that? If you could just, if you want to, you don't have to.
Tomas Gonzalez, we were one of the first round applicants for the marijuana. Just came to see what the first 3 applicants were like. Obviously, we think we're still better. but that's a whole other discussion.
My understanding is that they are going to open up the application process again.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out what that second round would look like. We were asked to make certain changes and recommendations, and we really just wanted to see what the whole of the project would look like at this point, not knowing anything really.
On how the application, how the licensing goes.
You know, the slowdown, the acting mayor, everything. It's just been...
Yeah, there's been a couple of hiccups, and I can't speak for the Marijuana Advisory Committee or the Mayor's Advisory Committee. So we did this a little different in the city. They had a Mayor's Advisory Committee that was appointed.
Yep, we interviewed with them and
Right.
went through that whole process.
Which has nothing to do with the licensing commission.
Which we're just finding out now.
Right. So what happened was there were 15
There were 15 in the initial, 7 that were taken down, and then 3 that you guys are reviewing now.
So the city council here in Somerville and the mayor decided, rather than have all 15 come in and do this public forum, that committee was formed with their guidelines to say, let's screen all of these applicants. Let's figure out where we are with these. The legislation that was also crafted by the city council gave preference to the priority enhancement applicants. That then whittled it down a little bit. You know, the big companies out of Canada said, well, see you later, that's not for us, we don't meet the criteria. It was also whittled down to very definitive legislation that said we're going to give priority applicants priority.
To Somerville residents and economic empowerment.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Medicals, you guys, if you're in...
Not medical.
No, but you guys, you medicals that already operate here in the city,
yep.
We're going to always have a balance. We're going to have our empowerment applicants and then you. Empowerment and then you. I was asked to weigh in. Commissioner Allen wasn't on the commission, I think, at the time. May have just been coming on.
Just new.
But they asked me to come in and weigh in on the legislation, and my role was not to legislate, it was to advise and warn.
And I will point out that AB alternating, is that part of the sunset clause, or is that permanent, the AB alternating ratio?
That is permanent.
The cap is the only part that sunset
Right.
clauses.
Right, so being a new industry, I requested of that legislation that we cap this at 12 active for 2 years. And then we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is very fluid with the licensing commission, that we're open to suggestions from the public. We have a whole set of rules and regulations that we have to abide by from the state level as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the CCC kind of oversees what we do. We send stuff back in. Hopefully, we did our due diligence on the 3 applications that came in. One of them is going to continue until January. And then the advice that I've gotten from George Proakis' group is that they are going to reopen the application process again. So if you've applied once, don't get discouraged, apply again.
We resubmitted last week, so.
Great.
Yeah, so thank you for the time. Good evening, and
You're welcome.
have a good night.
Thank you.
I also just want to say, Dave Cohen, Holistic Industries, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks. Any other items on the agenda tonight?
Has there been any talk about any cafes opening in the future, like cannabis cafes?
You can ask us the question, but we may not be able to weigh in because we're still in a public hearing, so anything we say, we have to be careful about it. Yeah.
It was just a curiosity question.
Yeah, my understanding is that it's at the state level, and it's also at the CCC level. So until they give us guidance and advice.
And beyond that, it would also still be at the city council level.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. One more item, Commissioner?
Number 6.
Number 6.
Again, one which we wanted to get Commissioner McKenna's wealth of experience.
Make a motion to continue this to January's meeting?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
The 2 a.m. that did not show was Orleans Restaurant.
May I point out that they did not show up last year either?
I was going to say, I believe they did not show last year, and we granted them.
At this point, I would wonder, are they receiving our mail.
I've sent it. I've sent it out.
I don't think we can, like, doing it once was fine, doing it twice is not.
Right. And the 2 a.m.s, I would just remind Commissioner Allen, the 2 a.m.s are a privilege. They are not as of a right of the license. So this is the second time that Orleans Restaurant has not responded to directions from the commission. I am not inclined to extend their 2 a.m. until they come back in and explain to this commission why, for the past 2 renewal cycles, they have not shown up. So I am going to ask the clerk for some direction here. I don't believe that we need to have a public hearing on this one. I believe that 2 a.m. is controlled by the licensing commission as a privilege and not a right.
Well, you're renewing it, so it's up to you whether you choose to renew it.
Correct. So I am going to recommend that we do not renew their 2 a.m. license, and that they need to be informed that they're rolling back to 1 a.m. And if they choose to come back in and apply for a 2 a.m., they must go through the application process and appear before the commission.
You want them to reapply, not just come in January.
Correct. I want them to reapply. That's my decision. Commissioner Allen, anything?
The only question I would have is, at that point, they would have to be, there's a one-time upfront fee applying for the 2 a.m. extension.
That's correct.
And they would have to pay that again.
That's correct.
Don't see,
Talk about the application process?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
No, don't see a problem with it. I think that's a fine plan.
All right. Make a motion to approve the denial.
Second.
All those in favor to deny Orleans Restaurant their 2 a.m.?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Any other items?
Yep, the renewals. 2020 renewals.
We have item number 22 is the 2020 license renewals, requesting approval for all 2019 license renewals. Sergeant Shaley.
My thought on this was to approve all. The only issue that we really had was for Sika, and we're taking measures for improvement for that facility. And we've had no underage violations, no reports of visibly intoxicated patrons being served, no reports of intoxication from restaurants or bars. We have had a couple of incidents of intoxicated patrons from liquor stores, and we're addressing those issues in the East End. Assaults, we haven't had any documented arrests on reports other than the Fasika incident that's pending for court.
Terrific. Sounds like terrific work by Sergeant Shaley of the Somerville Police Department.
Thank you.
He took credit, folks. Okay. Sergeant Chris. Commissioner Allen.
Make a motion that we approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. 2020 licenses have been renewed, and on...
Except the 2 a.m. for...
Except for the 2 a.m. for Orleans. And then on behalf of the commission, we want to wish Commissioner McKenna well, and I want to wish you all a very, very safe holiday season. We will see you in January.
Okay, before you close, there was one more.
I was just ready.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Bosfam, you want to continue that? Bosfam.
Yes, we will
They're
continue
operating
Bosfam.
without-
Which one did?
That's a Manoa Poke Shop. So they were supposed to come in last month because they closed, never notified the commission, and suddenly opened back up again.
Okay. Send them a notice, please, to appear in front of the licensing commission.
Okay, I did that.
Okay.
You want me to send another one?
Send another one, second notice, certified mail.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, I think that's it. I can shut up now.
Thank you very much. This hearing is adjourned.